Where's the background?
That last
Digital
one.
Tools.
Now you guys tell me. Uh-oh.
I should have had the original.
And the bottom left, it says like stop, like has a video icon, and the next there's a little arrow, and then that'll let you.
Oh, okay.
All right, we are live right now. Getting our backgrounds all festive for Jaws. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just boring. I've got a dark and spooky background, but that's all you're getting.
That's
You're
a
in the
nice-
very murky waters.
Yes, you're in the deep green murky waters right there.
Who will join me in the water?
A shark can come out right there and you wouldn't even see it.
That's the scariest one right there.
Are you
All right,
serious?
I got the boring curtains, sorry.
The dark blue, you know, that's still thematic. That's in the theme. That works.
Okay.
We're happy. All right. So, yeah, we're going to start reading Jaws, and this is Table Read Tuesdays. Welcome. We read a script every week. And so we like to start out first by, uh-oh, did we lose someone? First, everyone introducing themselves. Hopefully they'll come back, and if not, we'll jump in for them. So I am Jacob Patrick, and I'm into screenwriting. I've written a few self-produced short films, a few unproduced episodes and features, and Angel.
I'm Angel or Angelina Peterson, and I've created a few smaller projects for film and just getting into writing the last year and a half. So
Awesome. And now Toni, our reader, that's going to read so much text today, and we're so appreciative of.
Yes, it is a lot of text. Hi, I'm Toni, ToniFlora. I have done mostly theater work, and I'm trying to break into audiobooks and other voiceover work now. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to read your script today.
You guys hear how good that voice is? I think someone will hire you to do all that you want to proceed.
Let's hope
Or
so.
Yeah. And next we have Heather Lee Cameron.
Hi, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I've done theater, film, voiceover, writing, filmmaking. I've done the works. And I'm very grateful to be here today. I was here last week, and I'm happy to get in the water with you all today.
All right, Don.
Hi, I'm Don Lampasoni, and I have a number of years in film production and video production, and I mostly edit and shoot, produce a little directing, and on occasion I get to act, which is fun, and be a voiceover artist, and I love it. So
Awesome. That is awesome. And Vicki.
Hi, I'm Vicki Dykes. I have over 40 years of experience with live theater. I'm new to this technical world, but I'm limping along. I would love to do voiceovers, and this is my second read with you guys, and I just love it. Thank you for having me back.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you every time. Chance and Denise.
I'm Denise Vallon, retired high school principal. Taught cinema lit for 11 years and made many films with the students, and had been involved in theater and acting my whole entire life. My father was a Pasadena Playhouse graduate, so I mingled with the best.
Wow. That's quite a resume. Your turn, Chance.
Chance Fallon, this is my second read. I enjoyed the one we had with Back to the Future last week. I've done community theater, worked sound and lighting, and built sets, a lot of drama production. So I had a good time and just kind of enjoying myself, and now we're doing Jaws. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Andy. The silent and muted.
Yes,
Andy
I'm
Hogan.
sorry.
There he is.
It still says muted on my end.
Oh, we could hear you when you said it still said muted, and now it doesn't say it.
There it is. Okay,
Yep.
finally.
You're good.
I'm Andy Hogan. I have been around amateur theater since high school. and have touched virtually every area in it at one time or another, from acting and backstage, you name it. Pretty much, I've tried it at least. And I guess my distinction is I have played both the Jack Lemmon and the Tony Curtis role in Sugar, the musical version of Some Like It Hot. So
At the same time or at different times?
no, different times, well separated in time, in fact. So, but I've enjoyed playing both of those. So I'll do almost anything in the theater, and got introduced to this by Toni, and said, okay, I'll give this a try too.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Toni, for bringing him here. Thanks for being here, Andy. And Marvin.
Hello,
Getting
all.
the shark eating your head.
Yes, my name is Marvin Lickness. I'm a copier repair technician by day, but I play in film on nights, weekends, and holidays, and take time off work to play. I'm a writer. I've actually written about 24 scripts and have received over 24 awards in the last 2 years. I act for fun, right? Just helping other people out in the air industry, mostly indie videos, that kind of thing. I also do sign language, right, which is my kind of my gig. And lately, I've been adding to my resume a drone pilot. I've been having a lot of fun with that with film.
Sweet.
Nice to meet you all tonight.
Nice to meet you as well. Clint.
Hey guys, my name is Clint Monroe, and just getting started. It's been, about 18 days since I started my career path down this way, and it's been really, really great. Super interesting, learning so much. Have just been like taking one jump and leap after the next, and I can't wait to get to the top. This is so much fun. As you guys know, this is my third read, and it's just a lot of fun. Anybody who is getting interested in film or needs to read a couple scripts or whatever, this is such an awesome way to go about it. It's helped me quite a bit. You go through the scripts, you get to see the characters come to life a little bit, and you get to see the script and how it's written, how it's formatted, and kind of the raw essence of what these epic movies then became. So it's really, really cool. And so thank you for having me again.
What a great intro. And yeah, then now we'll get started on Jaws, the very first ever blockbuster film. This is the movie where they coined the term blockbuster. It was so huge that people would go around the block and meet back up with the line, in line to go into this movie. So it's cool for us to read such a movie that had such an impact. And as some might know, that one of the writers, Peter, he wrote the book Jaws. He used to write for the president, and he left that job to write this book. And then after that, they made it into this movie. So, all right. And when we lost one person, I believe. At least it looks different there for me. All right. Well, hopefully they come back in. Does anyone recognize who it is?
Andy.
Oh, it's Andy. All right. Andy is
Amy?
the mayor, so we have a little while. Oh, no, Andy's
Hello.
here.
Andy's here.
It was Heather.
Oh, okay.
Heather's back.
It was in the spot that Andy normally, that's why it shifted.
Yeah, everybody shifted around when she disappeared.
All right. All right, then,
I
Toni?
apologize.
Toni, when you're ready, take it away.
Jaws, written by Peter Benchley and Carl GOTTLIEB. Over black. Sounds of the inner spaces rushing forward. Then, a splinter of blue light in the center of the picture. It breaks wide, showing the top and bottom of a silhouetted curtain of razor-sharp teeth, suggesting that we are inside of a tremendous gullet, looking out at the onrushing undersea world at night. Here, a symphony of underwater sounds, landslide, metabolic sounds, the rare and secret noises that certain undersea species share with each other. Also, the hint of familiar music, twisted and distorted by the depths. Cut to exterior beach, night, shark's point of view, rising out of the water, looking at. It is a pleasant, moonlit, windless night in mid-June. We see a long, straight stretch of white beach. Behind the low dunes are the dark squares, dark shapes of large, expansive houses. Here are a number of voices singing. It sounds like an Eastern University's alma mater, no longer distorted. Exterior beach night, another angle. Around a blazing bonfire, a group of young men and women, beer cans, or maybe a keg in evidence, as well as the Bota Spanish leather white bag, much in favor by beach and ski bum types. The group is swapping sentimental alma maters, weepily singing Eastern Ivy League anthems, Dartmouth, Cornell, Harvard, Penn, etc. Two young people break away from the others. They are Tom Cassidy and Chrissy. Behind them, there is considerable necking activity. Tom and Chrissy are more serious.
That first Tom is actually supposed to be an action description.
I'm so sorry.
Wrote wrong.
Tom
Oh, no,
makes a clumsy
not your
attempt.
fault.
Tom makes a clumsy attempt at snaring Chrissy, cups her from behind. She squirms playfully out of his grasp. We discover he's not especially sober.
Hey, I'm with you, right?
Exterior, another part of the beach, night. Tom and Chrissy are separated from the others, silhouetted against the fire. She pauses and looks at the ocean. He is plodding along in the sand, winded. Chrissy runs down the slope of the dune toward the water, leaving Tom reeling atop the dune. As she runs, she is shedding her clothes. Tom is trying to trail her by her clothes, like Hansel following breadcrumbs through the woods. But Chrissy is way ahead of him.
Come on.
She runs headlong into the inviting sea, plunges cleanly into the water with a light whoops as the cold water sweeps over her. Behind all this, we continue to hear the sentimental, very chorus of the alma maters. Then we see it, a gentle bulge in the water, a ripple that passes her a dozen feet away. A pressure wave lifts her up, then eases her down again like a smooth, sudden swell.
Tommy, don't dunk me.
She looks around for him, finds him still on the beach, his feet tangled in his pants, which have dropped around his ankles. She starts to swim back to him. Exterior, Chrissy in the water. Her expression freezes. The water bulge is racing toward her. The first bump jolts her upright out of the water to her hips. She reaches underwater to touch her leg. Whatever she feels makes her open her mouth to scream, but she is slammed again, hard, whipped into an arc of about 8 feet, up and down, submerging her down to her open mouth, choking off any scream she might try to make. Another jolt to her body, driving her under so that only her hair swirls out on the surface. Then it is too sucked below in a final and terrible jerking motion. Hold on the endless and swirls until we're sure it's all over. Exterior, close on Tom on beach. In his shorts, laughing to himself, turning in a slow stone circles. Held prisoner by his windbreaker, which seems to have him in an arm lock. As he struggles to free his arm from a tight sleeve, he turns. We hear the alma maters in the background from the fire. Interior Brody house, bedroom, early morning. A shaft of morning sun blasts through the crack between the bottom of the shade and the windowsill, falling across the heads of the sleeping couple on the bed. It catches Martin Brody right across the eyes, bringing him up from sleep. The job is completed by the clock radio, which clicks on with local fishermen's report and weather.
Hayes Landing reports conditions good, with stripers and jacks. The Coast Guard has no storm warning from Block Island to Cape Haters. A light chop with freshening winds continue cleared and mild.
Ellen Brody buries her head under the covers, avoiding morning for a few precious minutes more.
How come the sun didn't use to shine in here?
And Ellen, the wife, which is
Ellen?
Angel. Angelina, you're muted.
Oh, unmute. Because when we bought the house, it was autumn. This is summer. Feed the dogs.
We hear the scampering toenails of 2 Cocker Spaniels scrambling around the foot of the bed. Brody swings out of bed, wearing shorts, socks, and a t-shirt.
Right.
Do you see the kids?
Probably out in the backyard.
And almighty, you say yard.
The kids are in the yard playing near the car. How's that sound?
Like you're from New York.
Give me 30 years, I'll get it.
He leads the dogs out of the bedroom and down to the kitchen. Interior Brody kitchen, morning. Brody enters, sets down some dog food, goes to make coffee, starts to fill kettle to boil water. The cold water rushes through and out the burnt out bottom of the kettle.
Did you burn another kettle? You know, you're a fire hazard. This is the third one.
I never hear the whistle.
Feed the dogs.
Ellen Brody, a tall, attractive blonde woman, enters from upstairs. She's still slightly sleepy, not what you'd call an instant on person. Mornings are not her best time.
You want to go through these? I'm taking them to the thrift shop. It's Vaughn's pet charity. Pick out what you want. It's mostly your city clothes.
I used to wear this to the garden. Garbage stripes, dog shit, muggers. Ship it.
Don't be silly. You're going to make summer better for them.
Before Brody can answer, Michael, his oldest boy, enters, holding his hand. There is a bright new blood on it, but he is sensibly unconcerned. It's a normal childhood scrape.
Cut my hand. Hit by a vampire.
On the swing. I told you not to play there until I sanded it down. See what your son did?
Go upstairs and bring mommy a Band-Aid.
Michael goes on out and upstairs. Ellen fumbles in her pocket and produces Brody's new glasses, which she holds out to him.
Don't forget these.
Oh, yeah. How do I look? Older? Huh?
I think they make you look sexy.
Brody reacts to this and bends to kiss her lightly, then more seriously.
Sexy. What was I before?
Older, sillier.
I don't want to depend on these things, you know. Sometimes you can weaken your eyes.
He looks out the window to the new view beyond, discovering some new wonder in the fresh sunlit morning. Brody's point of view outside the house. Sean, the younger child, is happily romping in the summer air, enjoying the very cold air he breathes.
Let's see.
The phone rings. Interior Brody kitchen, day. Brody answers one of two phones on the wall.
Brody, yeah, what's up? Well, what do they usually do? Float or wash up? Really? Okay. I'll meet both of you at the beach in 20 minutes. Okay? Okay. First goddamn weekend of the summer.
Michael re-enters in bathing trunks with a towel on his shoulder, his hand washed, holding a Band-Aid ready for application. Ellen takes it and bandages the finger with care and affection.
There. What was that?
Michael heads toward the beach.
The office.
He gets his shirt on with Ellen's help. She flicks imaginary dust from the badge on his chest.
Be careful.
Here? You gotta be kidding.
He gives her a light kiss, starts to go with his cup.
Love you.
Hey, Chief, bring my cup back.
At the door, he takes a windbreaker off a peg and goes on out. We can see the Amity police shoulder patch as he goes to a van parked outside. Exterior Island Highway, morning. Martin Brody's Country Square police wagon rushes past, taking the view to an enormous billboard depicting a typical summer day in Amity. A beautiful model splashes in the gold surf, languishing in sulphurine sun. Amity welcomes you is written above her flailing arms. Exterior Amity Beach, day. 3 small figures in the landscape walking the beach. The surf is rough and there is a seafloor debris strewn about from the receding tide.
And this is
Closer
also
angle, Deputy Hendricks is searching the shore about 100 yards downwind. Meanwhile, Brody, in his casual police attire, and Tom Cassidy, still in the clothing we saw him in last night, walk down the beach. Brody fingers the missing girl's shoes, purse, and clothes. In the daylight, Cassidy misconducts himself, wavering between inflated maturity and tear-blown adolescence.
Christine, what?
Worthington, no one ever died on me before.
You picked her up on the ferry?
I didn't know her.
And anybody else saw her in the water? And nobody
Somebody,
else saw it.
somebody could have. I was sort of passed out.
Think she might have run out on you?
Oh, no, sir. I've never had a woman do that. I'm sure she drowned.
You from around here?
Uh, no, Cambridge, Harvard. My family's in Tuxedo, New York, though.
You here for summer?
Some friends and me took a house.
What'd you pay for a place just for the summer?
1,000 a piece, something like that. There's 5 of us, and we each kick in 100 a week for beer and cleaning, stuff like that.
Pretty stiff.
A shrill whistle makes them turn. Hendricks is 50 yards away, on his knees. He blows again, a feeble report this time.
Maybe that's your girl.
Brody runs towards Hendricks. Cassidy hesitates, then follows with,
You can't make me look.
Master Angle, the sand dune. A skein of seaweed garnishes the base of this isolated dune. The booming waves and fizzing surf make dialogue inaudible. Deputy Hendricks on hands and knees, looking white as a sheet. Brody tells Cassidy to wait at the foot of the dune and ventures up. Hendricks stops him with a wave off, saying something at the same time. Brody nods, understanding, and steps up cautiously and looks down. He adjusts his glasses, trying to make sense of what he is looking at. Whatever he sees has a marked effect on his entire physique. Kicking out with his foot, Brody sends dozens of angry horseshoe crabs into an escape frenzy, and they boil over the top of the dune and down its slopes. Cassidy takes a few uneasy steps backward when Brody waves him over. He shakes his head, an awkward moment. Then Cassidy shuffles forward, up the few remaining feet, his eyes looking everywhere but down. Brody says something else, and Cassidy shakes his head again, eyes out at sea. Brody puts his hand gently around the quaking man's shoulder. Nodding, he starts to look down, an inch at a time. He looks. He too can't make out what it is at first. Then he understands. The jolt that assaults Cassidy is not unexpected. He falls backward in a sitting position, as though shot. Nods, yes, it's her. Brody turns and slides off the dune, stumbling close. Hear his breathing. He looks around, envisioning the week ahead of him. Quick, sharp cut. Chrissy's remains, incomplete from the chest down, horribly bitten. Note, see Hooper's dialogue in section 91 for complete description of corpse. Interior Brody's office, day. Brody walks through the door and enters his office, holding a fizzing glass of Alka-Seltzer. Holly, his 61-year-old secretary, follows close on his heels with her shorthand pad of messages and reminders. In the outer office, Hendricks and Cassidy slump into chairs, sipping from fizzing Dixie cups. Brody dips into file drawers for the appropriate forms. He gently turns on Polly, who is behind him.
If this is going to work, you've got to keep current stuff out here and put closed files in there. The pending stay on my desk, okay?
Brody slips behind his typewriter, putting paper in the machine with the effortless ease of years of practice. He's obviously no stranger to paperwork. He touch types, hardly ever looking down, checking his notes and listening with one ear to Polly. He is affected by what he's seen, but there's work to be done. Polly?
There's more lines.
No, it cut out. Go ahead.
This is in no order of importance, Chief. There is a meeting on the Amity Town Council on Aging this Monday night, Benton Court Hall. The fire inspector wants you to go over the fireworks site with him before he catches the 1 o'clock ferry, and mainly you have a batch of calls from that new karate school.
Close. Accident report. Brody has just typed the girl's name. He skips the space for cause of death, and just under it types the next of kin information he has collected from her wallet.
School practicing karate on all those nice picket fences.
The phone rings and Polly picks it up.
Hello? Oh, it's the coroner. somebody pass away in the night?
Brody nestles the phone between ear and collar, listening as he turns to the typewriter.
Jesus, Santos.
Insert accident report. Cause of death line rolls into place. The hammers punch out. Shark attack.
This is still.
Brody leans
Brody.
forward, staring at what he just wrote. Polly cocks her head and removes the phone from his ear.
What's the matter?
Brody takes a breath. A new resolve comes over him.
Polly, I want to know what the water recreation is on for today.
Right this minute?
Brody gets up and moves hastily toward the door. Brody's outer office. Cassidy and Hendricks look up as Brody enters.
Where'd you hide the beach closed signs?
We never had any. What's the problem?
A local merchant comes through the door.
Glad I caught you. There's a city truck with New Hampshire plates parked right in front of my...
Brody pushes past him and out the door. Exterior Amity, Main Street, day. In the busy center of town, preparing for the big 4th of July weekend, Brody winds his way around the sidewalk activity, purpose and haste in each stride. As he turns a corner, a little man in a white smock emerges from the funeral parlor. This is Carl Santos, Amity's part-time coroner. Santos looks both ways before crossing Colonial Drive. Brody passes Kiesel's bicycle rental, navigating an awkward course through an odd assortment of Schwinn's that lined the sidewalk in front of a demolished white picket fence. Kiesel intercepts Brody on the run.
Wait a minute. Glasses, right?
Brody nods yes and starts to move away, but Kiesel holds on to him.
Look at those fences. Little guys about 8 to 10 years old. And look at this.
He holds up a bicycle. The bicycle's spokes are bent and broken from some sort of blows.
They did that with their bare hands.
Call me later in the day, okay, Harry?
Angle, Amity Gazette newspaper office porch. Santos emerges with Ben Meadows, the stylish late 30s editor of the Amity Gazette. Together they cut a beeline for the other side of the street. Angle, Amity Street. Past taverns and chowder shacks, past bleacher construction and July 4th posters, Brody enters hardware and sporting goods. So overstocked that beach umbrellas, aluminum deck chairs, and rainbow beach towels splash a surplus of color from the display window to the sidewalk. Interior hardware store day. The store proprietor is busy at work on an inventory list with mainland delivery man.
It's no good to me in August when the pilgrims come in June. Go on, help yourself to whatever you need, Chief. Can you work the register?
Exterior hardware store and street, day. Brody emerges with enough poster board, wooden stakes, nails, paint, and brushes to close every beach on the island. He starts back the way he came when Hendricks shoots up the street in the patrol jeep. He stops fast enough to call attention, leans out the window.
Polly told me to tell you there's a scout troop in Averill Bay doing mile swim for their merit badges. I couldn't call them in. There's no phone out there.
Get out of there. Take these back to the office and make some beach closed signs and let Polly do the printing.
What's wrong with my printing?
Exterior Vaughn's Realty, day. Revealing Larry Vaughn, the mayor of Amity, exchanging anxieties with Ben Meadows and Coroner Santos and 2 other city selectmen. They come out in a group, reach the sunlight, and squint down the street as Brody careens around the corner and out of sight. Deputy Hendricks, laden with his arts and crafts, passes them on the street front.
What have you got there, Lenny?
We had a shark attack at the South Shop this morning, Mayor. Fatal. Got to batten down the beach.
Vaughn and group exchange horrified looks, but we got the impression it is not in response to the shark attack news.
Who told you to do this, Lenny?
I just found out about it, but there's a bunch of Boy Scouts in the water a couple of miles down the coast from where we found the girl, Averill Bay, thereabouts. Chief went to dry him off.
Take my car, okay? You come with us, Lenny.
I've got all these signs here.
Come on. It'll give us time to think about what they're going to say.
They all crowd into a Cadillac Eldorado with Vaughn Realty signs on the doors. Exterior Averill Bay, day. A flotilla of 20 exhausted Boy Scouts round a buoy that marks the official course. A rowboat with Scoutmaster using a bullhorn keeps pace and urges the boys on.
Let's go, Robbie. You too, Hoffner. Boyle, keep your head up. Alberts, keep kicking.
Exterior on the beach at Averill Bay, day. 2 older Sea Scouts look on with stopwatches and clipboards, while some parents shade their eyes from the sun, watching their offspring. Brody pulls up in the Amity police jeep and starts toward the people. Behind him, Vaughn's Cadillac pulls up and skids to a stop. In it are Vaughn, Meadows, the doctor, maybe a selectman, and Hendricks, with his arms still full of sign material. Vaughn intercepts Brody and the others circle around him, effectively slowing his progress through the sand to the Scouts.
Martin, are you going to shut down the beach on your own authority?
Do I need any more authority?
Technically, you need the instruction of civic ordinance or a special meeting of the town selectmen.
That's just going by the book. We're just a little anxious that you're rushing into something serious here. This is your first summer.
Now tell me something I don't know.
All I'm saying is that Amity is a summer town. We need summer dollars. And if they can't swim here, they'll use the beaches at Cape Cod or Long Island.
So we should set out a smorgasbord?
We're not even sure what it was.
What else could have done that?
A boat propeller?
I think possibly sure a boating accident.
Some weekend tramp accidentally goes swimming too far. She's a little drunk. A fishing boat comes along.
Remember when Fred Gans went scalloping in his BVDs? He was going to swim in New Bedford, he said.
The men all laugh, ad-lib their remembrances of this foolishness.
And Bill Mayhew almost caught him in his nets.
Doctor, you're the one that told me what it was.
I was wrong. We'll have to amend the report. We never had that kind of trouble here.
I don't think you can appreciate the gut reaction that people have to these things.
I was only reacting to what I was told.
Brody looks out to the water where the Scouts are rounding another buoy on their home stretch.
It's all psychological anyway. You yell barracuda and everyone says, huh? You yell shark and we've got a panic on our hands. I think we all agree we don't need a panic on our hands this close to the 4th of July.
Vaughn indicates the beach where the Scouts are flopping out onto the sand, exhausted, glad to be finished.
I can't work in a vacuum. Why don't you make Hendricks chief? His family's been here since the Puritans. Half this island are his cousins.
Martin, we hired the best man we could find.
All ad-lib agreement.
We need someone who isn't prejudiced by old feuds or family ties, someone who can referee things.
You have our complete support.
Now then, we've got a vandalism problem we ought to talk about.
The others surround Brody as Vaughn leads the way back to the cars, ad-libbing their problem with the little karate choppers. Hendricks puts the signs back into the trunk of Vaughn's Cadillac. Vaughn waves casually to the Scouts and swimmers who are vigorously toweling off in the background. Exterior Amity Street, day. In front of Amity's only music store, a battered old pickup truck pulls into the curb. Quint and his mate cross silently, heading into the music store. Interior, Amity Music Store, day. A gently tinkling bell tolls Quint's entrance. Inside the store, a 10-year-old boy is being shown a clarinet. He is playing a mellow, low tone and running Ode to Joy. Quint looms past him like Neptune rising from the deep and lets his hand drop on the counter with a slap that sounds like a club on flesh. The shopkeeper abandons the little boy and meets Quint.
Hello, Mr. Quint.
4 spools of number 12 piano wire, okay? I ordered them.
Yes, sir, right here. What do those fish do? Eat the stuff?
They choke on it.
Without waiting for it to be wrapped, he picks up the gleaming wire in his gnarled fist and drops a bill on the counter.
Bye now.
No answer from Quint, who stops and sings along with the boy. A little kid's music degenerates into a series of awkward squeaks and blurps as Quint stares at him. Quint continues out the door, threading his way through the people in the street like some great fish. As he gets up to the cab of his pickup, its door swings open so we can see a crude, stylized shark decorating its side. It slams behind him as Quint gets in and drives away. Exterior Amity Beach, day. A plump jelly bowl of a woman plunges into the ocean. There's enough there to satisfy the most gluttonous shark. Buoyant, joyful, she splashes away in abandon. From her, we pan off to reveal other cheerful bathers enjoying that last uncluttered weekend before the season starts in earnest. Angle on the waterline. A man and his dog are romping at the water's edge. The man is throwing a stick out into the surf. The dog, a happy retriever, is bounding into the waves after it. Two young people on the beach. A girl and her boyfriend leave their blanket and run for the water, playing tag, chasing each other, having a wonderful time. Angle on birthday party on the sand, Martin and Ellen Brody. He is sitting stiffly in a beach chair, scanning the beach with careful, cautious looks, eyeballing everything that's going on. Around their particular blanket and umbrella are a number of adults and their kids. The youngsters gathered to celebrate Michael's birthday. Ellen is dishing out ice cream and cake from a cooler chest to the raucous 10-year-olds. Michael's hand is still bandaged.
Looks like another big season. Gets worse every year.
And none of them from the island, just a lot of bother.
Brody and we hear a shrill scream from the water. He stretches out to look past the group to see what's happening out there. Brody's point of view, the water. The young lady is disappearing underwater, pulled under the waves by some force. She is shrieking. She pops right up again, riding the shoulders of her boyfriend, who pulled her under. She's laughing hysterically. Brody is unamused. The adults.
What?
Present company accepted, but offlanders are a pain in the butt. Pardon my French.
Ellen captures Sean and holds him playfully. An example.
What about this kid? What if he were born here? That make him an islander?
Just because a cat has kittens in an oven, it don't make them muffins.
I'm not a muffin, I'm a boy.
Brody rumples his hair and sets him off to play. Angle on another small boy playing alone. It's Alex Kittner and his mother nearby reading a novel. Alex is towing a funny rubber raft and headed for the water.
Alex Kintner, where do you think you're going?
Water, just once more, please.
Let me see your fingers.
He holds out his hands.
They're beginning to prune. 10 more minutes.
Alex starts for the ocean. Behind him, Michael and his gang are also heading for inviting waves. Brody is watching them go, his spine rigid with tension. Max and his dog. As Alex and the boys hit the water, we see the man throwing his stick into the waves, his dog swimming strongly after it. Brody's point of view, out beyond the kids and the dog, the fat lady is bobbing around, out way too far, isolated from the other swimmers. Underwater view, exterior day, a fish's eye view of the bathers. Lots of little kicking legs, rafts with tasty arms dangling in the blue, slowly circling, favoring one raft, little Alex's. The Kittner boys' legs and arms are kicking and paddling, producing a bizarre underwater vibration of more than passing interest. Dog goes by, dog paddling along. On the beach. Brody is half rising, looking out over the water. The fat lady is not where he remembered her. He scans the water anxiously.
Do you want the boys to come in? Honey, if you're worried.
A black object swims across the water. It's the dog, resting against the surf. Angle on the water. Brody's point of view. It's the fat lady, floating, relaxing. A black object swims up to her. It's not the dog. It rears up out of the water. It's a man in a black bathing cap. They exchange distant pleasantries. He strokes away. Another angle, water. Alex Kittner, paddling around, making boat sounds, tooting, going vroom vroom. Angle on the boy and girl. They kiss, embrace, kiss again. Strong stuff. They sink beneath the waves, knotted in an embrace. Angle on Michael Brody and his friends. He's trying to salvage a soggy piece of birthday cake, holding it above the water, paddling with his other hand. The bandage has come part way loose, and his cut is trailing in the water. Brody and Ellen on the beach. Ellen is rubbing suntan oil on his back, and he is allowing himself to relax part way. His eyes still nervously scan the beach in constant surveillance. Mr. Kiesel is coming out of the water, toweling off vigorously, exclaiming to himself,
How's the water?
Too cold.
Too cold.
I'm going to be getting,
I'm
I'm going in again at Labor Day. Hope we get this weather next weekend.
You're very tight, you know, right there.
Ow. He's got to be more careful in the water.
Angle on the gang playing in the water. Michael has just been drenched. He splashes back. A big water fight ensues, the boys splashing and chopping at the water, shouting battle cries and karate whoops. Alex is paddling around near them, but not involved with them. Along the water line on the beach, the man with the dog is whistling into the ocean, looking for his dog.
Buster, hey, Buster, here, boy. He continues
He
to
continues to
ad-libbing.
ad-lib by calling his dog, but there's no answer, no dog in the water.
Waterfront action
The
description.
waterfront, a huge splash explodes in the water near the gang, an eruption of foam and spray that stops everyone cold for a moment. They stop to see who is responsible.
Hey, no fair, splashing in the eyes.
Before anyone can answer, another kid, PJ, renews the battle, whooping a karate cry and slashing at the water with his hand like a little kung fu warrior, advancing through the waves. Close on Matthew, splashing back. He hits the water, which sprays up suspiciously pink. He stares at it, surprised. Close on PJ. His hands are dripping deep pink, the red matting his hair running into his eyes. He looks down. The boys are surrounded with a deep pink slit, their little bodies ringed by a spreading stain of blood. Angle on shore, a tourist and his wife. He's pointing frantically out to sea.
Something in the water right there. Didn't anyone see it?
There's blood in the water.
Angle on Brody. He leaps to his feet, nearly knocking Ellen over, and starts for the water.
What is it?
Brody is pelting toward the water. He kicks sand over an annoyed Mrs. Kittner, who looks up just in time to hear Brody's bellow.
Michael, Sean, out of the water. Everybody out of the water. Michael, get out.
His urgency communicates itself to the others. Ellen snatches up Sean from where she's been playing in the sand. Other parents are calling their kids, hysteria mounting. People rush into the water, dragging their children and families bodily out of the ocean. The first kids coming out of the surf are frantically trying to wash the sticky blood off their bodies. The sight of the red sends the beach into a full panic. Close on Brody, he rushes into the water up to his ankles and suddenly stops, unable to move into deeper water. He is urging Michael out, holding his hands out to his son, who is slogging through the surf toward his dad. He stands there, immobilized by the water, nervously helping people out of it off to the beach. Angle on Michael. As he emerges from the water, Alex Kittner's raft washes in behind him, ripped in half, the water pink, the foam spreading the stain onto the sand as the wave breaks. Angle on Mrs. Kittner, her voice rising into a panic and hysteria with each unanswered cry.
Alex, Alex, Alex!
Exterior, the county courthouse and county offices, day. We are looking at the closed double white front doors of the building through which we can't hear a rolling boil of agitated conversation. After a beat, they open to reveal Mrs. Kittner looking as though she had been visited by the wrath of God. In effect, she has. Her eyes are puffy and swollen from weeping. Her clothing is put on and fastened awkwardly. Her gait is not normal. As she walks toward us, Clint enters with his back to us. They pass without notice. Miss Kittner moving out of sight, Clint leading us through the doors into the town hall. Interior county courthouse day. A crowd of angry men and women throng the central hallway, their voices a babble of confusion. Many of them are gathered around a roughly lettered notice that has been posted on the town's official bulletin board. It reads, a $3,000 bounty to the man or men who catch and kill the shark that killed Alex M. Kittner on Sunday, June 29th, on the Amity Town beach. Vaughn and Brody are on the outskirts of the crowd, which includes Meadows, some selectmen, and others.
Look, I've got to talk to her. This isn't a contest. We want the whole country entering.
I agree. If she's going to advertise, I wouldn't recommend out-of-town papers. Amity people could take care of this.
I'm responsible for public safety around here.
Then go out tomorrow and make sure no one gets hurt. Everybody, could I have your attention? Since this affects all of us, I suggest we move into the council chambers where there's more room.
There's a flurry and a bustle as everyone rearranges themselves and makes their way into the Amity Selectmen's council chambers. Interior council chamber day. The crowd is thronging into a large room. Already in the room is a solitary figure, standing all the way in the rear, watching everyone as they enter. Against the back wall is a large blackboard used for town business and during meetings.
Well, here we all are. Anyone have any special questions?
Is that $3,000 bounty on the shark cash or check?
That's private business between you brave fishermen and Mrs. Kintner. Chief?
I'd like to tell you what we're doing so far. There are some of the steps I've taken as chief of police.
What's going on with the beaches, Chief?
I'll react.
I'll get to that in a minute. First, I plan to start our seasonal summer help early and to use shark spotters on beaches open to the sea. I'd like cooperation from local fishermen, and I've also contacted the Oceanographic Institute over on the mainland.
No need to involve outsiders in our private business, Martin.
Are you going to close the beaches?
Larry and I have also decided to close the beaches for a short time.
Pandemonium.
Only 24 hours. Only 24 hours.
I didn't agree to that.
But that official business could take all summer.
Maybe it's better to close.
Two opinions have been expressed and the crowd takes sides for vociferously, ad-libbing assent or dissent, depending on the point of view held forth.
We should make sure there's no danger.
I didn't raise my kids to be some fish's lunch.
Those opposed?
Nobody's seen a shark.
The motel is all I own. You pull the plug on this town and I go down the drain with it.
Nobody's seen a shark.
We'll lose business. We lose taxes. We lose our shirts.
Angle on Quint, the man in the back of the room. He hasn't run his large, coarse fingernails over the blackboard. He is a large, rough man, a professional fisherman marked by daily physical toil, about 45 or 50. It's hard to tell where the scars leave off and the wrinkles begin. There's a bit of the showman in him, as well as a bit of a killer whale.
You all know me. You know what I do for a living. I'll go out and get that bird for you. He's a bad one, and it's not like going down the pond chasing bluegills and tommy cods. This is a fish that can swallow a man whole. A little shaken, a little tenderizing, and down you go. You got to get this fellow and get him quick. If you do, it'll bring a lot of tourist business just to see him, and you've got your business back on paying basis. A shark of that size is no pleasure, and I value my neck at a hell of a lot more than 30,000 bucks. I'll find him for 3, but I'll kill him for 10.
Crowd reaction.
The bastards cost you more and more every day. Do you want to stay alive and ante up to the 10 or play it cheap and be on welfare next winter? I'm going to kill this thing. Just a matter of whether I do it now or at the end of summer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quint. The selectmen will take your offer under advisement.
Interior, Brody's study house at home, sunset. A rifly blur, color alternating with black and white. The dizziness stops on a book page showing a black and white rendering of 8 species of shark. The banner at the top of the page reads, "The known and reputed man-eaters." The rifling begins again, stops on a grisly photograph of scar tissue on 6 former shark victims. Rifling, stop. Photograph of 5 ichthyologists posing on wooden stools, framed by the enormous jaws of a prehistoric shark from the family Cacardune Carciaceus.
There's more
Brody,
action.
his reading glasses reflecting a stack of 12 library books, all on the subject of sharks and shark attacks. The door opens and Ellen enters quietly, in respect for Brody's mood.
Can you stand something to eat?
Love a cup of tea with lemon.
Ellen walks past Brody to the window and looks out of the window, which overlooks the South Bay. It is the hour of dusk.
Mickey loves his birthday present.
Where is he?
Sitting in it.
Brody gets up, concerned, and joins her at the window.
Honey, he has it all tied up to the jetty with a double knot.
Brody's point of view. Michael is sitting in the boat, but 2 of his young school chums are in the water, swimming around it. Brody opens up the window and calls down.
Son, out of the water now.
My boat's neat, Dad.
I want him out of the ocean.
It's 3 feet deep, Martin.
Michael, come inside.
It's his birthday present. And you close the beach, honey. I told him not to go in the water after what happened yesterday. I don't believe he'll ever do it again.
I told him not to go out until he memorized the handbook and the safety regulations, until he was sure of himself.
Ellen's eyes drift down to the open book, which is displaying a reproduction of the famous painting, The Gulf Stream, showing a black fisherman in a small dinghy similar to Michael's being assaulted by the jaws of 3 man-eating sharks circling his boat.
You heard your father. Out right now.
Sunset on the beach. Hendricks and another deputy are assisting Brody. Silhouettes of townspeople look on like mourners at a funeral. In the background, some workmen are taking down the shutters from a quaint summer cottage. They pause to watch the declining moments of the day. 3 selectmen also stand watching. One of them seems to be whispering bounty news to 3 youngish men on a nearby dune. Sounds, surf, and hammering. Cut to exterior ocean and pier, night. Selectman Denherter and his buddy, Charlie, a professional angler, run toward a tumble-down jetty that leads 50 feet out into the black water.
You want to call it a night after here?
It's only 2:30. What? You're tired?
Yeah, Charlie, I got my second wind 3 nibbles back.
Denherter hefts a blood-stained laundry bag from the wheelbarrow, revealing about 100 feet of coiled dog chain and a large patched inner tube. Charlie takes out a monster hook, and together they push the wheelbarrow onto the rickety pier that is only 5 feet across.
Leg of lamb this time?
True lamb. Let's shoot the sirloin.
Yeah, we're blowing half the bounty on bait.
The splintered pier sways to and fro as the men reach the end and start to work. Charlie baits the hook with a massive chunk of sirloin, while Denherter secures the loose end of the chain to a skinny piling. Charlie then fastens the inner tube to the chain 5 feet from the end of the hook.
One more after this, then I'm going home.
Set.
Denherter tugs the chain against the piling to prove that it is. Charlie heaves the bait. Splash. The inner tube follows, and both men eagerly watch as it floats seaward, the chain playing out from the wheelbarrow.
Tide's taking it right out.
Charlie lights his pipe and sits back against a piling. He turns on his transistor radio and loops one end around a fractured board. Denherter paces, bored to death.
You do this all the time, right, Charlie?
20 years.
I can't believe people pay money to go fishing. This is really dumb. It isn't even relaxing. It's just boring.
Close, chain and wheelbarrow, suddenly zipping out, faster and faster, as both men straighten. Denherter is Google-eyed.
Denherter, what's that?
The chain is coming out so fast that it begins to drag the wheelbarrow to the end of the jetty. A section of chain tangles around the handle and flips the entire machine into the air. Both men watch dumbfounded as the inner tube, racing out to sea in a wake of white water, suddenly dips under.
Look at him, take it.
Do I set the goddamn hook?
Let him do it. Go, 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 go.
It is then that the chain whips taut against the narrow pylons. Close piling, a lineup of 5 decrepit 2x4-inch pylons, snap with a resounding crack. Angle, jetty. The end of the jetty is yanked loose. Den Herder is flipped like a chip over the side into the cold night water, where he manages to snag a hold of a splintered timber. Den Herder's point of view? The severed section of jetty, a joined platform of footboards, is being dragged seaward with Charlie sitting dazed upon it, his lit pipe still going.
Charlie, jump!
Charlie rolls into the water, sputters, turns to watch the flotilla of wood draw away. Close, Charlie, looking seaward. Charlie's point of view. The end of the jetty makes a 180-degree turn and heads back in his direction.
Holy Jesus Christ!
Den Herder steps up on the broken-off piling just to be out of the water.
Get out of the hell! Get the hell out, Charlie! Swim!
Charlie, inhaling terror, trying to slog to shore. The jetty is getting closer. Suddenly, an enormous black fin breaks the water like a periscope, making course corrections as it comes for Charlie. Den Herder jumps from piling to piling, almost losing his balance on his way to help Charlie. Charlie has reached the last pylon toward open sea, and his hands clamor for a hold, but, insert Charlie's hands, the algae is too slippery, and his fingers keep sliding back. That's when the fin behind him seems to reach up to the sky, and Charlie manages, with Den Herder's desperate help, to make it safely to shore. The remains of the pier float belly up in the inlet. Close on the harbor master of Amity, Day. He is sitting on a little canvas folding chair, eating a bowl of Cheerios with milk and sugar, watching a panorama of ineptitude and greed unfold before his old seaman's eyes. The Amity Pier area is a minor madhouse. Out-of-state cars elbow local vehicles for parking spaces at the foot of the dock, and a parade of bounty-hunting townspeople, islanders, off-islanders, tourists, and others shout and push their way onto the crowded pier, each carrying some bizarre or appropriate tool for the real or imagined capture of an unarmed shark of intermediate size. Rods and reels, drop lines, crossbows, slingshots, harpoons, shotguns, rifles, nets, and tridents, every fishing supply store and sporting goods warehouse within 100 miles has been cannibalized to equip this weird array. Engel and Brody and Hendricks arriving on the scene. Not having room to bring their police vehicle anywhere near this mess, they are proceeding on foot into the confusion.
So then Den Herder and Charlie sat there trying to catch their breath and figuring out how to explain to Charlie's wife what happened to her freezer full of meat.
That wasn't funny.
Some of the locals greet Hendricks with occasional nods of recognition, or an ad-lib, "Hi, Lenny," or "Hey, Lenny."
Miss Kittner must have put her ad in Fielded Stream.
Looks more like the readers of the National Enquirer.
Angle on boat rental pier. An argument is in process between an out-of-towner and the boat rental man.
You're charging me double the usual rent. I didn't come up here all the way from New Rochelle to be gouged by some Yankee cracker.
Prices go up June 1st every year. You want a nice, cheap, leaky boat? You want to go down to the Hamptons. Right, Chief?
Angle looking out to sea. Making its way through the channel toward the dock is a sleek, expensive runabout with the name Fascination Rhythm on its stern. It's professionally handled and rumbles in as it coats towards the dock area. Some other boats clear the way for it, zigzagging in the harbor, causing an annoying chop. Close on boat. Matt Hooper, a bearded, bespectacled young man with an intent look, is maneuvering the vessel, peering through his windscreen at the ragtag collection of seafaring loonies all around him. Back to dockside, Hendricks is mediating the argument between the two men, and we can hear a plaintive "but money" from the local as Brody sees something that makes him move toward the other side of the dock. We see him cross to a little boat built for 2 or 3 that is settling low in the water as a 7th man climbs in with his gear.
Hey, you know how many men that's supposed to hold?
Whatever's safe, right?
What you got ain't safe. You take some guys off or you don't go out.
Ben Gardner in his boat, Flicka. Matt Hooper is gliding into the dockside, and Ben throws him a line to help him make fast as he moors. It's a small island of courtesy and an otherwise discourteous mob. Hooper nods politely as he ties the boat up and steps onto the dock.
Hello.
Hello back.
He's standing near where Brody is, finishing after his encounter with the chummers. Brody approaches Ben Gardner.
You going out too, Ben?
Might give it a try. That 3,000 bounty beats working for a living. We ready?
The mate nods yes and starts to prepare to get underway. Ben and his mate move away from the dock, headed toward the channel and the open sea, leaving Felix and Pratt to scamper around the dock looking for another ride. Another dock area close by, a particularly awkward moment between a small sailboat and a couple of powerboats. The sailboat is trying to hoist sail to make it away from the pier under sail. A real yachtman's conceit, since Hornblower himself probably couldn't navigate through this mess. Brody, a landlubber for sure, is trying to direct traffic to untangle this new mess.
Just back up. No, the other way. Cut it to your left. The other left. The big boat. Your front end is way out too far. Little boat, stay still.
Amidst all of this, we can hear an angry shouts of the entangled crews.
Damn it, a vessel under sail has the right of way.
You schmuck, you ain't under sail. You're goddamn drifting.
Ahoy, sail! You got an oar? We'll scum it out.
Tell that stinker pot to belay.
Tell that rag setter I'm gonna poke him in the snoot.
Just cast and turn and make for the channel, okay?
Thanks.
Brody starts back toward the shore. Hooper is by his side.
Excuse me. Hey, I was wondering if you could tell me.
Brody looks and stops by a boat that's about to cast off. He holds out his hand.
Is that dynamite?
Brody stops and looks by a boat that's about to cast off. He holds out his hand.
If that's dynamite, give it here or don't leave port.
Oh, come on. It's just fireworks. Sharks like fireworks. It attracts them.
Hand it over.
The man passes Brody a cigar box filled with dynamite sticks. Brody tucks the dynamite under his arm and continues down the pier. Hooper is still with him. All around them are two distinctly different breeds. The quiet pros, like Ben Gardner, in well-worn, comfortable clothes with efficient, sensible gear, and the amateur crazies with all manner of weapons and impractical, silly tourist clothing. Interior dock shed, day. Brody is on the phone, talking to his office, trying to get Hendrick's attention. He throws a handful of washers at the window.
There's a fantails launch out there. That wouldn't make it beyond the breakwater.
You're telling me? I swear this town has gone crazy.
Officer, I was wondering if you could tell me where to find Chief Brody.
Who are you?
Hopper, Matt Hopper, Hooper, from the Oceanographic Institute.
Exterior ocean day. Ben Gardner's boat is in the lead, with Gardner shouting derisive comments at the crowd headed out from land. The armada is spread out and moving in a ragged circle, 15 boats in all. One man heaves a cherry bomb into a water. A smaller boat going on in the opposite direction offers us barwood, forking spaghetti leftovers into the ocean while his friend pours out a bottle of ketchup. A speedboat chugs by, one of the occupants reading instructions aloud from a book entitled Sharks, East Coast, Volume 1. Boatload of impoverished scallop fishermen throw a net overboard full of gaps and split ends. The professionals look professional, but the landlubbers out for the $3,000 make it impossible for everybody. Collisions are barely averted. The Rube Goldberg error. The out-of-towner in a small boat is bent over in a life and death struggle, his rod in a tight arc. His buddy leaps across to lend a hand. 20 yards away in another boat, the same struggle ensues. This time, it's the overloaded boat with the poor scallop fishermen. Shouts of, "I'm on, dig in, strike!" Then a tangle of tackle springs from the water. They have hooked each other. Joy turns to swearing. Arnold Felix stands up to applaud the mishap, while his buddy Pratt takes careful aim with his Remington 1112 gauge and blasts at the tackle as if it were a clay pigeon. The tangle explodes. Both the out-of-towners and the scallop fisherman falls over backward. Angle, Harry's boat. 3 men are aboard, one holding a rod which holds a fast arc. A few yards off stern, we see a triangular dorsal fin crossing back and forth. Struggling, jerking, the mighty tail thrashing. One man is screaming, success, and the other 2 slapping the angler on the back. Close, Pratt and Felix. They spot it and sour.
Well, get over there. He ain't caught it yet.
The owner of Pratt's boat throws it forward and Pratt removes a .45 automatic from the holster of his belt. He tests it, firing once in the air. As they near the scene of the struggle, 11 other boats begin converging until
There you go, Harry.
Everyone wants to get into the act. They are attacking. I think that's.
everyone wants to get into the act. They are attacking the threshing beast with all they've got. Pratt uses his automatic. Another blasts point blank with a shotgun. There are occasional water ricochets, and the bounty hunters duck from time to time as bullets skip by. Finally, the shark stops thrashing. Felix and Pratt. Their boat has moved closer to the shark, closer than Harry's.
Hand me that pole, quick!
One of his party in the overfilled boat grabs a gaff and leans out to grab the moribund shark, but Harry won't give up the line, still reeling it in.
Beat it! I hooked him!
How's the family, Harry? Go on and do it.
We split down the middle.
Pratt nods reluctantly. The man swings, lodges the gaff, and hauls the shark up onto his gunwale. A paroxysm of cheers from the surrounding boats. Smoke flares are fired into the air.
Let go of my shark!
It's a 10-foot tiger, and what a mess, splattered with bullet punctures, gashes, bleeding from several orifices. But it is not dead. It kicks back to life and threatens to capsize the boat. Pratt panics and fires 6 times with the .45. The bullets pierce the shark's head, pass through, and split the fiberglass hull through which a flood of water rises. Everybody stands up as the boat slips beneath them. Interior morgue, day. The Amity morgue is also the Amity Funeral Home, a Victorian house that normally serves as the community's mortuary. The coroner, a professional small-town GP, is standing by as Hooper is speaking into a sophisticated cassette recorder with a headpiece that leaves his hands free for measurement with a calibrator or calipers.
Let's show Mr. Hooper our accident.
With a shrug, the coroner slides open the drawer, close on Hooper. He's looking down as the drawer slides past him, still matter of fact, turning on his recorder.
Victim 1, identified as Christine Walker, female Caucasian.
The sheet has just been lifted, and Hooper stares down at the lump on the slab. He stops, turns off his recorder as emotions wage war with his senses. Rationality wins, and he turns on the recorder again.
Height and weight, only estimate from partial remains. Torso severed, mid-thorax, eviscerated, with no major organs remaining. May I have a drink of water? Right arm severed, below the elbow, with massive tissue loss from the upper musculature. Portions detuned, bones remaining. Did you notify the Coast Guard?
No, it was local jurisdiction.
Left arm, head, shoulder, sternum, and portions of the rib cage intact. Hey, please don't smoke. With minor postmortem lacerations and abrasions. Bite marks indicate typical non-frenzied feeding patterns of large squali, possibly Carcinus laminuus or insidious glaucus. Gross tissue loss and postmortem erosion. The bite surface prevented detailed analysis. However, the teeth and jaws of the attacking squally must be considered above average for these waters. Did you go out on a boat and look around?
No, we just checked the beach.
It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a boat propeller or a coral reef or Jack the Ripper. It was a shark. It was a shark.
Exterior dock, area day. We open close on an ugly, open shark's jaws, still oozing blood and gore, as the shark is hoisted up into the air on a gin pole hoist dockside. Meadows is seen passing with his secretary and photographer from the Amity Gazette. A crowd of returning fishermen from the Armada and townspeople are gathered around the fish as it is hoisted tail up into the classic sports fisherman's trophy shot.
Jenny, get this out on the state wire to AP and UPI in Boston and New York. Have one of them pick it up for the National and call Dave Axelrod in New York and tell him this is from me and he owes me one. Let's get a picture.
As he and the photographer turn to the mob, we see Hooper and Brody arriving from the morgue. Hooper immediately heads toward the shark while Brody pauses, and we see a look of relief and delight cross his features.
Well, if it takes one man to catch a fish in days, I guess these 50 bozos can catch a fish in one day. Beginner's luck.
You did it. Did Ben Gardner catch this?
Men ad-lib, no, I caught it. I hooked him.
Okay, everybody, I want to get a picture for the paper. Could everyone clear out of the way?
He continues to call directions and move people out of the way to set up a shot. Hooper is measuring the shark.
Could you get out of the shot, young man?
Who? Me? Okay.
The men get Brody to join them in the shot. The whole town and the Armada fishermen all line up in a classic high school graduating class shot with the victorious fishermen kneeling in front, and the rest of the Armada and townspeople arranged behind them. Hendricks holds up the beach closed sign in an ironic victory. Angle showing Vaughn approaching the dock. Brody spots the mayor coming towards the dock and detaches himself from the group to join him.
Larry, if you'd seen these clowns leave, you'd never believe they'd come back with anything. But they got him.
That's good. That's real good. Ben Meadows getting pictures for the paper.
Sure he is.
Hooper and the fishermen. The men who landed the monster are in a tight cluster, debating something with Hooper, who is dwarfed by the big beer bellies and ham-fisted hands all around him. It's probable we don't even see him. The men ad-lib, what kind of shark is this? It's a shark like the movies. They got sharks. It's a man-eater, for sure. I bet it's a record keeper, etc.
It's a tiger shark. Very rare in these waters, but definitely a man-eater.
Hooper enters the circle and picks up where he left off, measuring the shark's teeth. Others watch him. Charlie and Denherter walk over to the shark. Charlie punches it. Brody and Vaughn. They are walking down to the shark together.
Who's that young man?
Matt Hooper, the specialist they send down from the Oceanographic Institute.
I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to these men for catching this monster.
Brody and Vaughn are by now near the circle of fishermen who are surrounding Hooper, raising their voices at him.
What do you mean, bite radius? What's that?
Teeth are teeth, right?
I didn't say this wasn't the shark. I'm just saying I want to be sure this is the one.
What do you mean?
There are hundreds of different types of sharks. Makos, blues, hammerheads, white tips. Any one of these could have done this attack. The shark's digestive tract is slow. We can open it up, find out what it's been eating. It's probably still inside.
That's disgusting. This is the largest, meanest, most vicious shark ever landed off Amity Island, and a known man-eater.
Let's just cut it open and see what's inside.
Why not, Larry? We could get a positive confirmation that way.
Be reasonable, boys. This isn't the time or the place to do some kind of half-assed autopsy on a fish. Ben, do you have all the pictures you need?
Plenty.
Wait a minute.
Felix, Pratt, and the others ad-lib disagreement. You're not going to cut up my trophy, etc.
I am not going to stand here and watch this fish cut open and see some kid fall out on the dock. Besides,
we see Mrs. Kittner approaching, dressed in black.
Chief, I'll take responsibility for this. Boys, cut this ugly son of a bitch down before he stinks up the whole island. Harv, tomorrow you and Carl can take him out and dump him right in the drink.
Mrs. Kittner joins the group. She seeks out Brody and stops in front of him.
Chief Brody.
He nods. She slaps him full across the face. There is an embarrassed silence. Some people leave, following a trend that began with the first mention of cutting open the shark.
My Alex was a beautiful little boy, and you killed him. Did you know that? And you knew there was a shark out there. You knew when the girl got killed here last week. I just found that out. But you knew. You knew it was dangerous, but you let people go swimming anyway. And you knew all those things. And still my boy is dead now. And there's nothing you can do about that. My boy is dead, and I want you to know that.
She stops, unable to continue. Her father takes her arm and leads her away. Pratt, Harry, and the others trail off after her. During the rest of the scene, the camera tightens in on Brody to the exclusion of the others.
I'm sorry, Martin. She's in a sick, terrible state.
Look, maybe this isn't the time to pursue this, but I'm not sure.
Before Hooper can finish, Brady's shoulders slump and he goes slack.
He's right.
Let's all get out of here. This place stinks.
I'm going home.
He turns and leaves abruptly, surrendering the dock to Vaughn and Hooper, who eye each other with mutual disadmiration. Interior, Brody house, night, dining room. Brody and Ellen, Sean and Michael have all finished dinner. Brody's plate is untouched, a virgin meatloaf. His glass, on the other hand, is well used, with the remnants of a stiff Scotch and ice. He is staring across the table at the youngest, Sean, who makes a face at him. He makes a face back. They play this game together for a few minutes.
Come here and give Daddy a kiss.
Why?
Because he needs it.
Sean gives Daddy the kiss. Brody shoots him and Michael off to bed. Ellen, who is feeling progressively more left out with each passing moment, gets up and abruptly clears a few dishes. Brody is not letting her into his world for the moment, and it shows. There's a knock at the door.
Martin Brody residence?
Ellen opens the door for him.
Hi, I'm Matt Hooper. Is your husband here? I'd like to talk to him.
So would I. Come on in.
Hooper enters. He's carrying a couple of bottles of wine, which he picked up in town. He sits down near Brody.
Do you like something? Some coffee?
Is anybody having this?
He starts in on it as soon as someone has indicated go ahead.
Dynamite. How's your day?
Swell.
They exchange a long look that evolves into a slightly desperate but shared laughter.
Here, one red, one white.
They laugh some more. Ellen is again left out of it.
Really good.
Brody begins stripping the foil off the wine, screwing a corkscrew, etc.
My husband tells me you're in sharks.
I wouldn't put it that way, but I love sharks.
You love sharks.
I do. Ever since I was a little kid, me and my dad used to watch Shark Week together, and we would always sit there, and I was just fascinated by how they were just this mad miracle of modern evolution. They haven't changed in millions of years, and they are just the perfect predator. But anyways, we still got a problem out there. There's a shark just off the island somewhere.
How come you have to tell them that?
Excuse me, but what are you talking about? Didn't they catch the shark this afternoon? It was on Cape Station News.
They caught a shark, not the shark. Big difference. I couldn't prove it this afternoon by cutting it open and examining the stomach. Also, the bite is just too small.
Brody has the cork out of the wine. Pop.
I was lucky to find that in the town. It's a estate vintage bottle gear.
Brody takes the fine wine, pours it into his dark glass, filling the tumbler to the top with ice cubes, diluted scotch, and the wine.
We ought to let it breathe. Whatever.
Let's all have a drink.
He extends his bottle to Hooper, who politely accepts a token sip. He takes some for himself and offers some to Ellen.
You too, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Here's to your husband, the only rational man on this island. Day after tomorrow, I'll be gone, and he'll be the only one.
You're leaving?
Going out on the Aurora.
Is that the boat?
It is. Best funded research expedition to ever study sharks. Around the world in 18 months.
Like those Cousteau specials on television? I think it's for kids, but I love them.
Better than Cousteau or Champagne, with computers, telemetry, Department of Defense funding.
I saw a show with the sea otters and a big turtle. Mickey loved it. Made me promise to get him one. Will you live on the boat?
Yeah.
Martin hates boats, hates the water. On the ferry to the mainland, he sits in the car the whole way over. He's got this childhood thing. There's a clinical word for it.
Drowning. Let me ask you something. Is it true most attacks take place in 3 feet of water, around 10 feet from the beach?
Yeah. Like that kid of yours on the beach. I wish I could examine the shark they caught.
Something else. Do most attacks go unreported?
Yeah, about half of them. A lot of missing swimmers are really shark victims.
There's a kind of lone shark called
Rogue?
Yeah, rogue. Picks out an area where there's food and hangs out there as long as the food supply lasts.
Yeah, it's called territoriality. It's a theory.
And before 1900, when people first started swimming for recreation, before public bathing in resorts, there were very few shark attacks because sharks didn't know what they were missing.
Yeah, you could say that.
Brody digests all of this, confirmation of facts that he has gleaned in his newly acquired knowledge of this shark species. There is a long pause.
Why don't we have one more drink? You and I, and then we go down and cut open that old shark and see for sure what's inside him or not.
Can you do that?
I'm chief of police. I can do anything I want. You want to come?
I'm flattered that you would ask.
He gets up and they both start out. Ellen watches them go. Interior boat shed, night. Dark, spooky shed with shadows of boats and strange silhouettes of boat parts and scaffolding. At one end, the large symmetrical bulk of the shark's carcass lies on a tarp. A single dark figure is bending over the dead shark. The large double doors at one end of the shed squeak open, and the shadowy figure moves abruptly away from the shark. The new entrants move into the shed. It is Hooper and Brody, and they are continuing the conversation begun in the car on the way over. As the shadowy figure moves silently into a vantage point against one wall, he passes through the light from a window. It's Clint, and we only see him long enough to recognize him as he backs against the wall.
And it was Dartmouth winter weekend. She was the homecoming queen. I was her date. Then we got into the fact that her family had more money than my family, and she was right. And her great grandfather was in mining, and my ancestors were Yankee shipbuilders. So we broke up after that, and I went home with some beatnik named Sarah Lawrence.
What stinks so bad?
It's our friend, the shark.
They bend over the shape like 18th century grave robbers.
I always had a summer place on the water, Newport, the vineyard. So I figured I'd major in something that I knew about. Oceanography, marine biology. It was that or design racing yachts like my old brother. Here we go. Up the old elementary canal. Can you hold the light?
We hear a slurp and a squish as Hooper produces a big knife and dips into the shark with major incision.
We'll open up the abdominal cavity and check the digestive tract. Simple. From his
vantage point, Quint watches, unseen by the two men. Brody is holding the light. frightening the gag reflex, fascinated by the bizarre ritual.
What's that?
Half a flounder, burlap, paint can. Aha!
What? What?
Just as I thought. He drifted up here from the Gulf Stream, down from the southern waters.
How can you tell?
Florida license plate.
He ate a car?
Nah, tiger sharks are like garbage cans in the ocean. They'll eat anything. But this one didn't eat any people. There's nothing here.
He kicks the remains around below camera.
Nothing.
What do we do?
Well, if you're looking for a shark, you don't look on land. We got to go chum for him.
Chum?
It's the only way to find him. Offer him a little something he likes to eat. Chum. Blood, waste meat, fish, anything. They can sense it like miles away. If he's out there, we might be able to get a closer look at him. It's a good time, too. They're night feeders.
Exterior aboard Hooper's boat, night. We see Brody looking sick and nervous, holding on anxiously as the fascination rhythm moves slowly ahead, trolling at night. His glasses are already flecked with the white salt of dried seawater. He is wearing a life preserver. Hooper is at the wheel, a chart spread in front of him, his eyes scanning the sea relentlessly, checking the dials and gauges in front of him, as well as the electronic depth finding and fish finder here mounted in the cockpit. A green glow shines from the instruments on his face. Two closed-circuit TV cameras mounted below the hull flash their pictures onto monitors in the dash. In the aisle between the seats is a large container filled with unpleasant-looking bait. Hooper is long-lining for signs of shark and chumming.
That's the Cape Light. We're on the Streck where he's feeding, if he's still here.
Brody, bored, tired, and slightly queasy, is trying to concentrate on anything but the motion of the boat. He stares at the sophisticated electronics displays.
What's all this stuff?
Depth finders, fathom meters, sonars, closed circuit TV, fore and aft, RDF, signal sidebands, and two loose nuts behind the wheel.
Can you tell from that if a big man eater is around?
Sometimes. Look here, something big. Probably a school of mackerel clumped together and staying right with us.
Insert electronic screen. It's blipping and peeping. Close on two men.
Where'd you get all this?
I bought it. Both sets of my grandparents set up a trust for me. Stocks went up and I didn't even have to touch a principal.
You're at the Institute full time, or do you have a job?
It is a job. I'm not just out here fooling around like an amateur. It's my life.
We got to get back soon.
Wide on the fascination rhythm as it swings around. The two men looking very small and vulnerable in the open sea, the low-hanging mist obscuring their visibility in the night. Close on Brody. He hears something, his eyes widen. It's the bump thump of something scraping the hull.
Hey.
Hooper looks up and cuts the wheel hard, at the same time dropping the engines into neutral and then reverse. The sudden change throws Brody to his knees.
What the hell?
Angle from Hooper's boat. Gardner's boat, Flicka, awash and floating dead in the sea. It's what they've just run into. Flooded into the gunwales, loose debris floating around, a tangle of lines and gear looking like floating garbage in the cockpit. Hooper's light sweeps across it.
That's Ben Gardner's boat. It's the Flicka. Ben! Ben!
Hooper cuts the engines and drifts in. He scampers out to the bow of his boat and makes a line fast to the Flicka. Inside the cockpit of Hooper's boat, the electronic display is showing increased activity, but only Brody, who's clinging to a support for dear life, can see the blips and hear the chatter. Hooper is leaning out to look at the Flicka. The two boats. Hooper is examining the Flicka, trying to tow line to it. Insert his point of view. The light picks its way across the ruined boat. The rail, where a cleat was once broadly scattered down to the raw timber, and the heady cleat has been torn bodily out of the hull, ripped out, screws and all. Hooper's boat, something he sees, moves Hooper.
What happened?
I want to check something out. Hold my feet.
He sticks his head over the side into the black water.
Don't they have life jackets or something and an extra boat?
They must have hit something.
Insert electronics display. Blip, chatter, blip, chatter. Brody and Hooper. Hooper moves to get a better look. The boat rocks and swell, and from movement. Brody clutches the rail in a death grip. Hooper goes below, decks, getting into his wetsuit, buckling on a wide weighted belt, holding a mask and a hot flashlight.
He didn't have a dinghy aboard. I'm going down to take a look at the hull.
Why don't we just tow it in?
We will, but there's something I got to find out.
Be careful, for Christ's sake.
Hooper takes the last few breaths, orients himself, takes a long, hard look at the quiet, open ocean, and falls into the sea. Close on Brody. He is studying the surface, trying to follow Hooper's movements. Brody is forcing himself to stay at the edge of the boat by sheer willpower and grim determination. Brody is fascinated by the sea like a bird facing a cobra. He is very much alone. He grasps a flashlight or a boat hook as a fragile defense against the unknown. Past Brody's back to the electronics. Beep, chatter, blip. Underwater sequence, Hooper. Hooper descends in a froth of bubbles. Wearily, he turns a full circle with his flashlight. At first, we see nothing out of place but the flicker, except that it is lying so low in the water. But as Hooper travels the bottom looking for damage, he comes across a jagged hole 2/3 of the way forward. The hole is about the size of a basketball, and the wood around it has been bashed and splintered. Hooper explores the hole with his hands and then takes the knife from its sheath and begins to dig at something. Whatever it is comes free in his hand. As he studies his find, his light wanders upward, pointing directly into the dark hole. Hooper looks up. Close hole. Ben Gardner's dead face stares out through the hole in flicker, eyes and mouth gaping in frozen horror, his skin pinched like a prune. Close Hooper bumps his head in trying to get away, seems to yell through escaping bubbles. We hear the gasping shout as bubbles roar in his ears. His mask fills with water as he flails for the surface. Miscalculating, he bumps into the hull of his own boat. Shocked, dismayed, his system jangling with adrenaline shock. His hands open, the object he pried loose from the hull drifts down and out, falling into the eternity of the ocean bottom. He finally bursts through the surface. End of underwater sequence. The boat, Hooper, emerging from the water. He is gasping for breath, his whole body vibrating with urgency. The salt water in his lungs combines with the adrenaline in his blood to deprive him of speech.
You all right?
White! A great white! I found a tooth buried in the hole. He must have attacked. I knew it. Gardner's dead. I didn't see the mate.
No shark did that to a boat.
Hooper, despite his shock and surprise, is strangely elated, almost giddy with the wonder of his discovery.
Jesus Christ! A great white. Who'd believe it? We're not talking about a shark. We're talking about the shark.
Brody sinks weakly into a chair. Brody huddles in the stern. Hooper kicks the engine in with a roar, and still a shiver, with excitement, turns the boat and its grim tow back to the port. Exterior Island Highway, the billboard, day. Next to the Amity Welcomes You billboard is a group of selectmen, Vaughn, Meadows, Hendricks, and another deputy standing by with paint and brushes. Brody's wagon is there, along with a few other cars. Busy late afternoon traffic is starting to pile up as early weekenders and curiosity seekers slow down to see what's happening. Behind the billboard, Brody and Hooper have gotten Vaughn to one side. They are making a closely reasoned presentation to him.
There is a kind of shark called a great white shark that every expert in the world agrees is a man-eater.
Your situation here suggests that there's a great white has staked a claim out in the waters outside of Amity Island, and he will continue to feed until there's as long as there's food in the water.
There's no limits to where he can strike, and we've had 3 attacks and 2 deaths in the past few days. It happened like this before when a great white killed 5 swimmers at Joan Beach in Long Island.
A shark's attack is stimulated just by the kind of splashing and activity that occurs when humans are swimming. You can't avoid it.
A 4th of July beach is like ringing a dinner bell, for Christ's sake.
I just pulled a shark's tooth the size of a shot glass out of the hull of a wrecked boat out there.
We towed Ben Gardner's boat in, Larry. He was dead and his boat all chewed up.
Is that tooth here? Did anyone see it?
I don't have it.
He lost it on the way up.
What kind of a shark did you say it was?
Carcharodon carcarius. It's a great white.
Well, I'm not going to commit economic suicide on that flimsy evidence. We depend on the summer people for our lives. And if our beaches are closed, then we'll all be finished.
We have to go close the beaches. We have to get someone to kill the shark. And we need corrosive mesh netting. We need scientific support. It's going to cost money just to keep the nuts out and save what we have.
I don't think either of you is familiar with our problems.
I'm familiar with the fact that you're going to ignore this until it swims up and bites you in the ass. There are only two ways to solve this thing. You either kill it or you cut off the food supply.
That means closing the beaches.
Come here. I want to show you something.
He leads Brody around to the front of the billboard, on which we see that some pranksters have painted a huge shark fin in the water behind the swimmer. So she now looks like a frantic bather fleeing from a pursuing monster.
Sick vandalism. Brody, that's a deliberate mutilation of a public service message. I want those little paint-happy bastards caught and hung up by their little baby Buster Browns.
Oh, that's it. I'm tired of standing here and arguing with the guy who's waiting to be a hot lunch. Goodbye.
Wait a minute. I need you.
Out there is a perfect engine, an eating machine that is a miracle of evolution. It swims and it eats, and that's all. Look at that. See those proportions? Those are correct. I know sharks.
You'd love to prove that, getting your name in the National Geographic.
Larry, we can reopen the beaches in August.
August? Tomorrow is the 4th of July. We are going to open for business. It's going to be our best summer in years. If you're so concerned about the beaches, you two, you do whatever you have to do to keep them safe. But with you or without you, the beaches stay open this weekend.
Interior ferry boat day. 2 cavernous iron doors. Then a crack of vertical light as 6 blurry crewmen muscle them apart. The Amity ferry landing is approaching, people in colorful outfits waiting dockside for the first filled to capacity shuttle of the summer season, and Beach's Little Fugue is the musical accompaniment to this wholly virtual montage of disembarkation. The next 2 minutes should be treated like a short film, taking into account all of the colors, episodes, faces, and behavior of a variety of Americans who colonize Eastern resort communities for the 90-day season. Intercut with this montage is Brody's home, where Ellen, Hooper, and Brody are in sweaty, gritty, all-out effort to enlist some support. Elements in this montage include, A, a train of cars trundling down the ramp, bumper to bumper. B, young, beautiful people from Princeton, Yale, NYU, wearing knapsacks, toting luggage, babies riding in papoose rigs, energized children, senior citizens holding hands on the pedestrian ramp, a few wheelchairs. C, Hooper, bent over the phone. I know it's a long weekend, but could you get me his home phone number? D, sidewalk vendors hawking shark-killed souvenirs. Big photo personality posters of the dead tiger shark hung on the dock. E, Brody. Go ahead.
You're acting senior officer. Where's Chief Petty Officer Feldman? Where's the Coast Guard Executive Officer?
F, souvenir stands selling genuine shark's teeth from the Amity killer shark, captured this week. G, Amity Cab Company. Small blue Toyotas lined up with their college student drivers like bomber wings. H, Hooper.
Well then, operator, can you try him in the dining room?
I, Brody.
All I get is a recording. Is there some other number I could try?
Okay, station wagons with pale winter faces pressed anxiously to the window, Cadillacs with rear admirals at the helm, their wives with blue hair, remembering away from the years before. Hooper.
When did he check it out? Did he leave another phone number?
Brody.
How can I reach him in chambers if he's not in chambers?
M. Little karate hands breaking picket fences. N. Some local delinquents about 10 or 12 years old, towing behind their bicycles a little dead sand shark with the signs Amity Monster Shark, killed here, 5 cents a hit, etc. Then 6 blonde and tanned Coney Island meatballs descend the ramp. They all wear men's club lifeguard patches and matching collegiate windbreakers. They scour the landing looking for someone to save. The boat is empty. Everybody heading inland, anticipating the best 4th of July ever. Already there is debris on the docks and cleaning crew works away at it. Inside the ferry. As Bach's little fugue ends, the 6 burly crewmen lean their combed weight against the cathedral doors, closing out the light and locking in the trade. The doors latch shut with a resounding clang. Angle on Brody, nervously watching the beach. He is studying everything, trying to make sure he has covered as well as possible. He almost doesn't hear the approaching roar of a small helicopter until it settles down behind him, and a flying officer gets out, starched pressed fatigues, a flawless fatigue baseball cap, and slick dark aviator sunglasses. The Steve Canyon of Amity. He presents Brody with a clipboard.
Martin Brody, I'll need your signature here, here, and here.
What is this?
Authorization for direct payment of flight expenses not directly connected to a normal mission of this command. You pay for the gas.
Brody signs. The officer shakes his head as Brody makes an error.
I signed the wrong line.
Just erase your signature and initial your eraser.
Brody complies, shaking his head. The officer snaps him a salute, jogs lightly back to his idling copter, buckles in and gives Brody a thumbs up as he lifts off in a flurry of sand and ice cream wrappers. Exterior beach parking lot, early morning. And this is it, the dawn patrol, the only forces that the frantic phone calling produced. Hendricks and the regular summer extra deputies, the lifeguards, half a dozen state troopers, some deputies from the neighboring towns, and a Coast Guard ensign with a handful of regulars in work dungarees. Some of Hooper's friends from the Institute. Brody and Hooper, badly in need of sleep, are watching the crew struggle in. Already, the first of the holiday beachgoers are piling out of their cars in a brightly colored cascade of beach balls, umbrellas, blankets, portable barbecues, radios, sun visors, reflectors, rafts, balls, tubes, and newspapers. Hooper watches one such group, a family of 10 getting out of a camper van. He watches in dismay as the family bumbles onto the beach for a day of fun in the sun. Brody addresses his troops, such as they are.
I want to thank you guys from local agencies for cooperating, and I hope we won't actually be needing your services, but I'm glad to have you here.
And ad lib responses, happy to do it anytime. Where's lunch? I hate holidays, etc.
I want to get our lines and repellent out, so we better shove off.
He nods to his men, who head for some Boston whalers or a similar boat with surf riding capability, and push off into the surf patrol to the swimming areas.
We're all on one channel, so let's keep radio traffic to a minimum, okay?
Everyone kind of nods in acknowledgement.
I hope we can get some more help.
I wish it would rain.
Exterior beach, amusement area, close of shark machine. In a shed near the bandstand, a half dozen pinball and arcade machines sucking quarters from holiday beachgoers. A mechanical shark traverses the screen as it is hit with an electric harpoon, and red blood blossoms from its side, indicating a hit. Sounds of electronic gadgetry, people having fun. Meadow is there, waiting for it all up for the paper. A move away from the screen of this particular machine reveals the arcade, the parking lot, and finally the beginnings of the panorama of the beach that July 4th was created. Exterior, South Beach, the 4th of July. 4-foot surface swells, curls and crashes on shore, riderless. The broad sandy beach is a mosaic of summer color as 1,000 vacationers practice fun in the sun, but not in the water. Hot dog stands and ice cream vendors are everywhere. Angle lifeguard stations. A half dozen lookout rocks. As many handsome lifeguards with walkie-talkies strapped to their trunks and loud hailers as at arm's reach. Aboard, 2 of the hot dogs train their binoculars on some local color. Angle on TV mobile unit. A TV mobile unit van is setting up, cables snaking to the cameras, a camera with big sports zoom sitting on the platform atop the truck. A spiffy announcer type in a blazer with his station's call letters in the pocket. Inside the darkened control room, we can see the pale blue squares of the monitors and a mosaic against one wall, facing the switcher. At sea, Hooper is methodically patrolling his boat, tactically flanking a 300-yard apron of black repellent on 4 small watch boats. A tiny pleasure boat darts around with the repellent line. Farther out, crossing back and forth, are patrol boats. To top it all off, a Coast Guard helicopter hovers around and patrols 300 feet above. Interior television mobile unit. At least 8 monitors reflecting the outposts of 3 cameras and 2 tape machines, as well as line, preview, and effect monitors. Monitor camera 1, holding on a group of happy citizen bathers as they unpack their gear, wave to the camera, run into the water. Monitor camera 2, the repellent line set in place by the Coast Guardmen in small boats, setting out floats, dumping repellent into the ocean. Monitor camera 3, close on the bandstand where Amity's band is playing lilting patriotic airs. After we've seen this activity, we can take a look at what's going on, the preparation of the tape segment for 6 o'clock news.
Put 1 on the line in 5, 4, 3, 2, roll.
On the tape 1 and line monitors, we see Vaughn being interviewed by the announcer in his blazer.
And with me is Mayor of Amity, Lawrence Vaughan. Mr. Vaughan, how about those rumors?
How about them indeed? I am pleased and happy to repeat the news that we have, in fact, caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers here. As you can see, it's a beautiful day, the beaches are open, and the folks here are having a wonderful time. Amity, you know, means friendship.
Monitor camera 1. As Vaughn speaks to us on the monitors, the monitor for camera 1 pans over to show a sightseeing bus pull up in the parking area, and a horde of media vultures spilling out, carrying cameras with long lenses and tripods, telescopes, sunshades and parasols, all the equipment of curious and none of the equipment of the holiday bather or swimmer. Tape 1 and line monitors, close on the announcer, Vaughn out of the picture.
Also here today is marine biologist and researcher, fellow from the Oceanographic Institute, Matthew Hopper. No, Mr. Hooper, what have you heard?
What I've heard and what I've seen are 2 different things. I believe that there is a great white shark out there, Carcharodon carcharias, in the waters off this very beach. And he will kill, and he will kill again.
Hooper's voice fades off as someone at the mixer panel dials his mic off and brings up the announcer's lavalier.
And there you have it, 2 different opinions by men of goodwill. The holiday crowd here at Amity seems to be making up their own mind.
The camera pans off him to a happy family headed for the beach. Monitor camera 3 zooms in on the puffing face of the tuba player. Monitor camera 2, Brody and the announcer. Monitor tape 1 and line. Back on the announcer, his lips moving, but his sound turned off. We hear instead the sound from monitor camera 2, Brody and the same announcer.
I'm sorry, I just don't have the time.
Oh. I can't hear you.
Recue the machines too. Pan off the chief and show me some tits and some ass and get some cute kids. 3, see if you got a shot of the water.
Monitors, cameras 1, 2, and 3. The cameras seek out the appropriate activity as the director calls for it.
Mayor, 34 seconds, 43 seconds, biologist, 45 seconds. That's equal time, right?
Right. Jerry, come on in and look at this. Roll 2 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tape 2, monitor, start showing us the assembled interview segment we've just seen. starting with the announcer's opening remarks.
Amity Island is famed for its clear air, white sand beaches, but a cloud appeared.
His voice is dialed under as the announcer himself appears in the control room to watch himself on the monitors.
Look at that sunshine on my nose. It's a beacon.
Close enough for remote.
As Vaughn begins his spiel again, the other monitors show us the action on the beach.
I'm pleased and happy to announce
I think we ought to stick around. Oh, what else we got?
Teachers strike downtown.
Christensen, this is Al. Union says we have time for an engineering 5.
That's 5 minutes, guys. Coffee.
Angle on the beach. Vaughn is his shirt sleeves, having slipped out of his jacket. He mops his brow and surveys the beachfront. At this moment, there's nobody swimming. He approaches a familiar selectman, nods hello, and squats behind him on the sand.
why don't you get in the water?
I don't want to wash off my suntan lotion. I'll get a burn.
Nobody's going in.
On an adjoining blanket, a spirited Ruth Gordon type is sitting, watching brightly as her manservant, a polished Eric Harrison type, prepares some tea from a thermos.
Is there nobody going in? What a shame. Arthur, should I be going in?
If you'd like.
He puts down the tea service and leads her toward the water. At the edge of the sea, she stops and he walks in.
It's very nice. Not too cold, quite refreshing. Very pleasant.
He ducks his head under for a final look around.
No sharks, my lady.
She starts into the water. He takes her parasol, escorting her the rest of the way into the ocean.
Oh, this is marvelous. Arthur, I want to come back to this very spot. Will you make a note of where we are?
Wide on the beach, encouraged by the sight of the woman and Arthur and Vaughn's quiet urgings, people begin to wander onto the surf. A few at first, and then a rush, as people plunge in and begin enjoying the pleasures of ocean bathing. The selectman goes in, his family follows. Vaughn watches it all, beaming. Boat number 7. Hendricks is on the radio while a Coast Guard spotter works the sonar.
Anything? Thought I saw a shadow over there.
Down to the water.
Action.
Underwater, as before, 400 pairs of enticing, yummy swimmer's legs, kicking like animated hors d'oeuvres. Interior helicopter, aerial view. A breathtaking view. The copter spotter looks down with the naked eye and binoculars.
Nothing from up here, Daisy. Over.
Close, Hendricks.
False alarm. Must be this glare.
Angle, beach, close on Brody. He is walking down the beach, threading his way through the happy hordes. Meadows nods hello. Who's scared to go in? I was in up to your knees. Yeah, so come on with me. I'll go again.
Beautiful day, Chief.
A group of youngsters playing with Michael Brody's dinghy. They are hauling it toward the surf.
Hey, Mikey,
Michael turns as Brody turns towards him.
you're not going to the ocean with that, are you, son?
Dad. I lost my place. There we go. I'm all checked out for the light surf, and look at it.
Do me this favor just once. Use the ponds.
Dad, the ponds are for old ladies.
Just a favor for your old man.
Sure, Dad.
TV crew near the water. TV cameramen are packing up their gear. For them, it's a wrap. Repellent line, county policeman. Suddenly, his walkie-talkie fizzes, and the copter spotter's voice overloads the speaker.
Copter to Daisy. Red 4. Red 4.
Boat number 7, Hendricks. Guns are up, heads turning everywhere.
Where?
Went under there.
The Coast Guard sonar operator spots it and pales. A slick black dorsal fin is slicing a rake toward the swimming area.
Ah, Jesus Christ, shark!
Beach Brody, rigid and choked, he almost breaks the send button trying to transmit.
Everybody out. Out of the water, please. Leave the water, please.
A lifeguard in a loft behind him begins blowing on his whistle. Close Brody, shouting hysterically.
No whistles. No whistles.
Action.
The beach. Dozens of bathers halfway out of the water turn to see. More whistles, and they start toward the shore. We hear panicky voices ad-libbing, "Shark, look out," etc. The loud hailers are sounding more urgent now, and a contagious dread seizes one person after another. Entire groups of people begin pulling toward shore, some of them obviously trying to control a growing hysteria in others. Boats number 6 and 7 are converging, heading toward the repellent line as if tracking an underwater shadow. The fin is beyond the repellent cordons and heading into the crowds.
Hooper's boat.
Hooper's boat,
Action.
caught on the other end of the line, is reeling in a broad hot dogger circle turn, headed back. The water, bathers. People begin screaming. Kids are suddenly separating from their parents. Others seem to forget how to swim. One myopic little girl has her glasses bumped off and she begins to cry in blinded panic. Ellen Brody looks around, frantic. Boats number 2, 3, and 4. The riflemen of the boats are trying to get a bead, but too many civilians create a hazard. The Coast Guardsmen attempt to sever the repellent cord to gain access to the bathing area and the heaving fin. The water, bathers. This is a confirmation of our worst dread, a full-blown, headlong water panic. Screaming vacationers claw their way over the bodies of the less able. Some literally attempt to walk over the bobbing heads of the glistening backs of others pulling for dry land. Close-ups, panic, horrified faces. Some are stunned and wandering in slow, tentative circles, while others are helped out by friends. 5 people try to mount a rubber raft. Ugly reminders that each of us is number 1. Brody enters the shot, yelling into his walkie-talkie. Someone charges past him to help an old man out of the water. Exterior of the beach. Dragging the helpless from the surf. Tears well up in Brody's eyes. The screaming is deafening. The TV unit is hopping up and down in rage and frustration.
Why did we rap? Get that! Somebody get that!
1,000 survivors pack the beach, standing absolutely still. A numbing cold sets in, and people shiver against each other. Muted sobs, whimpering, coughing. The 6 burly lifeguards huddle together like Cub Scouts. Angle, bathing area. The monstrous black fin turns a slow circle as 2 Coast Guardsmen manage to cut their own repellent line. All boats converge on the dynamic fin. Men raise their guns to fire. Others ad-lib nautical commands in a uniquely calculated fashion. Close, fin. It slips sideways, revealing for the first time a tiny blue snorkel. Then appear the faces of 2 youngsters whom we will recall from the coven behind the dune. The fin bobs back, a beaverboard replica attached to a partially submerged surfboard. One youngster looks up and is greeted by, the youngster's point of view, 20 rifles and shotguns pointed directly at him, surrounding him on 3 sides. Some of the policemen start to lower their guns, struck dumb. Hooper in his boat. He throttles back suddenly, subsiding into his own weight, his eyes still relentlessly searching. Close, youngster. His only defense, he begins to cry, and feebly raises his hands in unconditional surrender. Angle, estuary. The narrow estuary leading into this half mile is rough today. 2 children digging in the sand are unaware of the beach panic 100 yards away and look up, and the little girl points. Black dorsal fin is cruising through the narrows toward the busy pond. Hooper in his boat again. He sees it and jams his throttle forward. He steers with one hand, fumbling urgently for his walkie-talkie with the other. The circle of boats around the little pranksters, the crowds huddled on the beach. Hooper's boat suddenly arrowing towards the estuary, leaving a huge boiling wake. Close on Vaughn. He catches Hooper's boat out of the corner of his eye. Curious, he follows its progress. Its urgency finally communicates itself to Vaughn, who begins shambling trot across the dunes toward a rise overlooking the estuary. Vaughn gets there just in time to see the disaster. He watches, helpless, trying to shout, out of breath, stunned. Angle, pond. Michael is tackling full sail with his boat with a friend, Kit. Kit is admiring the shark's tooth necklace around his own neck, while Michael rubs some water on his scratches left by it. The fin, huge, black and real, crosses behind them. They are not yet aware. The fin seems to circle and return. It heads toward Michael's boat when yet another small dinghy gets in its way. A weekend novice just finishing a thermos of coffee when he is bumped. The entire boat is overturned. Michael sees the fin now as it collides with him, the entire bow lifting out of the water and rolling over onto the port side. Michael and Kit are thrown head first. The 3 heads in the water come up sputtering. The the fin between them crossing back. Michael freezes. The fin comes directly at him, growling into the sky, passing him so close he could touch it, but ignoring him as it follows the flailing and panicked, weakened novice. Catches him. Michael watches. That all too familiar explosion of water, a choked off scream, the head and upper torso of the novice passing Michael swiftly as though being carried off, a current of blood trailing behind. The victim, passing a horrified Michael, who half extends one hand as if to help.
It's no good. I'm dead.
A renewed cry of shark. Close, Brody. He turns. Oh God, running through the slogging sand. Close, Ellen. A sudden turn, she runs. Close, Hooper in boat. He's got the walkie-talkie to his mouth.
Block the estuary. The estuary.
3 boats racing to carry out the orders, the blackfin repassing the 2 children, racing to get out. Hooper reaches the mouth before the others. The fin won't veer off. It smacks into the little vessel, bumping it aside. The fin is left racing into the open water, blood leavings. Hooper leaping over the side, slogging toward Michael. Wide on water. Copter roars and buzzing the shark, but too late. Close, Brody and Ellen. They are pulling Michael out of the water as Hooper splashes up. Michael is conscious, but in shock. His eyes are staring at nothing.
He's in shock. Get the blankets.
People gather and Brody snatches the beach towels off their hands. They cover Michael and carry him off to the beach. Feet raised above his head. Interior hospital day. Michael is wheeled out in the bed. Brody and Ellen are there. Sean is sleepy in Brody's arms. Vaughn is waiting in the hall. Nurse.
Nurse Denise Vallon. The doctor.
Doctor said it's okay. Mild shock. He can come in the morning.
Hey, big guy. You want anything from home?
Buy cars and a comic book.
Here. Take him home.
Home, New York?
No, home here.
Ellen exits.
Got a pen on you? There's
Why?
only one thing. There's only one thing you're good for anymore. Signing a goddamn voucher. Here. It's an authorization to employ a contractor.
I don't know if I can do that without.
I'm going to hire Quint to kill the fish. I want to see that shark dead.
Maybe we can save August.
Forget it. This summer's had it. Next summer's had it. You're the mayor of Shark City. You wanted to keep the beaches open? What happens when the town finds out about that?
I was acting in the town's best interests.
The best interest in this town would be to see the fish belly up in the water with a hole in his head. You do the right thing. You authorize me. Right here, whatever it costs.
My kids were on that beach.
Just sign it, Larry.
Vaughn
Size.
signs, and Brody takes the paper and exits. Quint's house day. Brody and Hooper are approaching Quint's house. They enter through the big wooden doors into another circle of hell. Smoke and steam from 2 big oil drums sitting over fires fills the air. Quint and his mate, Herschel, are grinding pieces of pilot whale into chum. The whale lies bloody on the floor, its ruined carcass adding to the stench of other sharks being boiled in the drums, their tails suspended in the air. Diesel fumes and decay fill the air, and tools, ropes, broken bits of iron, and engine parts litter the floor. Wall hangings of rope and floats, and buoys, barrels, tackle, and gear all conspire to frame the killing floor. Brody and Hooper navigate the obstacle course.
This has got to be one big violation.
This is quite a place.
Keep your hands off my stuff.
He emerges from the stem and smoke.
Did you bring a check?
What?
Cash? Or do we do this on a handshake and a promise?
I'm authorized by the Township of Unedited to hire you as an independent contractor. We'll meet your price, $10,000.
and my regular daily rate, $200 whether we catch them or not,
You got it.
and accidental damages, if any.
You got it.
And you get the mayor off my back with his zoning crap. Nobody tells me how to run my property.
You got it.
And a case of apricot brandy, and you buy the lunch.
2 cases and dinner when you land.
Try some of this. I made it myself.
Brody tastes.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
Herschel interrupts. He stopped working and is wiping his hands on a bloody rag.
Mr. Quint,
Quint wheels to face him.
I'm not going. No, sir.
You want to get paid? You go.
Oh, forget the money. You can't pay me enough. I ain't crazy. You work some big mean fish with you, but I ain't going on this one.
This is the last time I hear from you. I don't want anyone with piss for blood on my vessel. Put that blackfish on board, pump the bilges, and get off the fuel tanks and finish up in the morning. Then you're on the beach.
You're gonna need an extra hand.
Quint turns to see this new voice and starts walking toward him.
This is Matt Hooper.
I know who he is.
He's from the Oceanographic Institute.
I've been at sea since I was 12. I crewed the Trans-Pacific
Transplants?
and American Cup trials.
I'm not talking about day sailing or pleasure boating. I'm talking about working for a living, sharking.
And I'm not talking about hooking some poor dogfish or a sand shark. I'm talking about a great white.
Are you now? I know about porkers in the water. Here, tie me a sheep shank.
Hooper ties the knot effortlessly.
I don't need to pass basic seamanship.
Let me see your hands.
He takes Hooper's hands in his own bloody fists and feels them as he talks.
Ha! City hands. You've been counting money. If you had a $5,000 net and $2,000 worth of fish in it, and along comes Mr. White and makes it look like a kitty scissors class has gotten to work on it and made paper dolls. If you'd ever worked for a living, you'd know what that means.
Look, I don't need to hear none of this working class hero shit. Oh, sorry, crap. Some party boat skipper who just kills a few sharks.
Hey, knock it off. I don't want to have to listen to this while we're out there.
What do you mean, we?
It's my charter, my party.
All right, Commissioner. But when we're on my ship, I am master, mate, and pilot, and I want him along for ballast.
You got it.
Exterior Quint's dock, morning. The mate is loading. He hands Quint the items on his checklist as Quint takes them aboard.
Length of 1/2 inch, 20 number straight gaff, flying gas, tail rope, eye splice, M1, 20 clips, pliers, irons.
As he talks, we see Hooper coming down to the dock. Wheeling a wagon behind him are 2 long-haired research assistants from the Institute. On the wagon, among other things, is a big shark cage. At dockside, Hooper checks his list and he signs for his issue.
Powerhead, CO2 darts, hypo regulator, tanks, depth gauge, camera, extra magazines, cage.
Close on Hooper and research assistant.
You got everything you asked for?
All of it. And thank Dr. Monroe for me. And tell Bozak I'll catch up with him when we get it together in New Zealand.
This is actually a killing expedition?
An eye for an eye, you know.
Hey, Squirt, you want to stow this gear on or you want me to use it for ballast? It ain't good for much, but bait.
I'll see ya. Tell Dorothy hello.
Hooper sees his gear approaching. Angle on dock and Orca. Quinn sees Hooper approaching with a large cage.
Hello, Junior. What are you, some kind of half-assed astronaut? Jesus Christ, when I was a kid, every little squirt wanted to be a harpooner or a sword fisherman. What do you have there? A portable shower?
It's an anti-shark cage.
Who's inside, you or the shark?
Hooper indicates me.
You're in the cage. Cage is in the water. The shark is in the water too. You're in the water with the shark.
Hooper nods. Quint sings Spanish Ladies half to himself.
Coming aboard.
Angle on dock, Brody, Ellen approaching. She's carrying a little plastic shopping bag. He's wearing a shiny new foul weather gear, bundled up, sweaty, uncomfortable. She gives him as good a hug as she can manage under the circumstances.
Did you take your Dramamine? Here.
She straightens his coat and gives him a shaving kit to carry aboard with his toiletries. From the deck, Quint whistles devilishly.
Hurry up, Chief. Daylight's a wasting.
Is that him?
Colorful, isn't he?
You gonna be all right?
Nothing to worry about. I'll survive this.
I'll see you back soon. There's an extra pair of glasses in your black socks, and there's some suntan lotion and Blistex in your kit.
Brody nods and holds her hand for a wordless moment.
Here is the body of Mary Lee. For years she kept her virginity. Not a bad record for this vicinity.
There is a sputter and roar as Orca's diesels kick on.
Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum.
What'll I tell the kids?
Tell them I went fishing.
They laugh together and exchange a short, fierce kiss.
Cast off the boat line. Now you're stern.
Its diesels chugging, the Orca pulls away from the pier. Ellen has already resolutely turned her back on it and is walking off the deck, back onto dry land. Aboard the Orca, Quint has set a course out toward the open sea. He lashes the wheel and jumps down to address Hooper and Brody, who are standing together in the stern.
Front bow, back stern, port, starboard, aloft, below. It's not a staircase, it's a ladder. It's not a rope, it's a line. And if you don't get it right, I'll throw your ass through that little round window.
He laughs at his joke. This is probably something he tells all his characters.
Now hear this. You're aboard the fishing vessel Orca, and I'm here captain, master, mate, and owner. You'll jump when I holler. We're doing a job here. And Christ, I ain't got time to watch you birds get hooks in your ass and fall overboard. Ship with me, and you'll do all right. Cross me, and I'll slap your upside and heads. Now, if you boys are ready, let's go fishing.
He starts moving gear around, preparing chum barrels, setting hooks. Hooper gives him a hand. Brody stays out of the way. Dissolved to exterior, the ocean, noon. It is quiet as the Orca drifts along it in the current, a wide chum slick spreading behind it. A couple of flag buoys spread along our perspective to show us the miles the boat has gone. Quint spots something in the water, a small blue shark attracted by the chum. He rigs a small pole with a piece of bait and throws it over the side.
Here's something for you.
The shark takes the bait, and Quint brutally and efficiently sets the hook and reels the shark alongside. He hauls it partway out of the water and sticks it with the gaff. Hooper and Brody watch. Insert, shark wriggling on the hook. Tail rope dropping on him, gaffed and bleeding, the shark is immobilized by Quint's practiced hands. He takes one of his big knives and poses for a moment beside the struggling fish.
These gritty sons of bitches will eat their own guts.
He slices into the shark's underbelly. We hear the sound of entrails plopping into the waters. Brody is almost retching, and Hooper is just as displeased. Angle on the water. The gutted shark swimming in circles, biting at its own entrails. Another angle, fins closing in on the wounded shark.
Go ahead, you cannibals. Tell them where you got it.
Shark frenzy, a boil of water and flesh of fins and teeth, as the local sharks erupt in a feeding frenzy, jaws snapping, blood spewing, a sudden display of the fury and blind predatory drive of the fearsome species.
What's that supposed to prove?
Just a little appetizer. I want our poker to know we're serving. I want to put some iron into that big yap.
Hooper and Brady react as we dissolve to exterior, the ocean, afternoon. The Orca is drifting in neutral. The ocean is like gelatin, the sun sucking heat waves from its surface. Brody at the stern, handkerchief on his head to protect from further sunburn, has been handed the slimmest job on a shark hunt, the ladling out of the chum. There are several empty chum barrels. A flag buoy bobs in the wake of the boat. Another waits to be tossed over the side. Brody is reeling with nausea. He opens his oversight kit and takes out a handkerchief and some Old Spice aftershave. He pours the aftershave onto the cloth, presses it to his nose. Cooper is also in the stern.
Keep that chum line going. We've got 5 good miles. Don't break it.
Who's driving the boat?
Nobody. We're drifting with the current.
Nothing.
Hell, in the old days, we went out with good charts, good sounding lead, and a damn good compass. Nowadays, these kids are afraid to go out without depth finders, radar, radio, electronic toothbrushes, every stupid thing.
Quint opens a can of beer and drains it in one long pull, crushing the empty and throwing it over the side. Cooper drains his coffee from a styrofoam cup and cracks it in his hand with a silly plump. He stows the pieces in an empty chum barrel.
Get a fresh barrel.
Brody goes to unleash the fresh barrel, but can't figure out the knots. He finally tugs on a piece of rope, and it all comes loose. Barrel, shank, cage, and, most important, Cooper's tanks, clattering and rolling on the deck.
Watch it. Compressed air. You screw around with one of those and boom! Careful, huh?
Real fine stuff, but I don't mean a thing to Mr. Whitey. Of course, he didn't go to school in electronics. He was born with what he does best, eat. He's a swimmer, appetite. Of course, he might eat his stuff, but when I've seen him eat at a rocking chair too. Next time, ask me.
Dissolved to later. The men are in different positions on the boat. Cooper on the flying bridge, Quint in the stern, Brody hanging over the rail, puking. Quint takes a wide red strip of whale meat and a gnarled squid from the garbage pail and searches for a number 2 hook rig. He holds up a strip of whale.
That's pilot whale, isn't it?
It ain't a Big Mac. You experts don't approve? What do you think? You're closer to the situation. Brody shades his eyes from the white sun.
Brody shades his eyes from the white sun as Quint waits up.
Why are we way out here when the shark's back there?
Because this is where he lives. You got to think like they do.
Easy for you. They've got brains the size of a radish.
He sits in the fighting chair. He casts off, murmuring as the line feeds out.
Now, if you weren't around, we'd have hooked something else by now, wouldn't we? But he scared them all away. Big, lonesome son of a bitch.
Dissolved to later. Quint at ease in his chair, Brody near him, practicing tying knots. The line starts to move a few feet at a time. Both men watch. Then the line whizzes off the reel. Brody jumps up. Cooper springs to the deck. Quint puts his hand on the drag and addresses the situation softly.
He'll gulp it down now. Whoo!
Quint tightens the drag and strikes. The line goes whizzing out. Brody runs to Quint's side. Hooper springs up to the flying bridge.
You got it?
Get behind me, dummy. Reverse her and turn. He's taking too much line. Wet my wheel, quick!
Brody goes to get water. The boat surges. He staggers. Brody pours water on the screaming reel. Nearly unspooled now. Hooper is turning the boat around and the line changes direction.
Starboard, for Christ's sake.
Hooper steers it sharply.
Hey, you, farmer, half speed there.
Aye, aye, sir. Stand to repel the boards. Poop the mainsail. Arr, Jimmy boy.
Again, the line changes direction down this time.
Neutral. Where the hell is he going?
Quint reeling in like mad.
Oh, this ain't fooling me. Sure, try it.
He ad-libs brief instructions to Brody as the line rushes out and there is less tension. Quint is horsing up and down, reeling in.
Making believe it's easy now.
The line is almost vertical and Quint shows a hint of bafflement. He reels in suspiciously.
Getting ready to run again. No, no. What's he playing here? Put the gloves on. Let's see who's going to tease who now.
Let it go. Don't waste your time.
Down here, Hooper.
Hooper is rushing down.
I don't know what it is, but it's not a shark.
Look, you may be a big yahoo in the lab, but out here you're just supercargo. and you'll do as I say, or you can take your gear and backstroke home. Now get down here.
The leaders show above the waterline. Brody is wide-eyed, waiting for that first look.
The wire's showing.
Unbuckle me, fast. Grab the leader. He ain't normal. This one, they never.
It's too wild. It's too erratic. It's a marlin. It's a stingray. Some kind of game fish.
Cooper snaps the rope into the leader and holds on.
Watch your hands. Grab onto this.
Before he realizes what's happening, Brody is clumsily clutching at the big rod, appalled. Quint skips away for a flying gaff. He picks one, turns. That's when the leader lashes free, sending Hooper crashing backward in a serious fall, and the rod whips at Brody's forehead, drawing blood. Quint snatches up the rod and reels in. The wires have been bitten through.
A marlin or a stingray? Huh. Don't ever tell me my business again. Get back up on the bridge.
I'm okay.
Fasten the pole.
The point with hooks and lines.
Don't tell me my business. Quarter mile, that way. Full throttle.
Cooper shakes off his dizziness and obeys. Brody watches Quint rig up a new leader, hook up the same bait.
How? If they're going to keep on breaking.
What I do is trick him to the surface. Got that? Then I can jab him. Understand? Think I'm gonna haul it in as he's a catfish like everyone else does?
Brody goes inside to inspect his forehead. On bridge, Cooper and Quint.
Over there!
What do you see?
At least you had on the boat all right. Stop. Here. Cut the engine.
Cooper cuts the engines as Quint swings nimbly down. He stands stock still on the main deck, motioning Brody to be silent. Then picking up the newly rigged rod, Quint soft shoes over to the share. About to sit down, he freezes. Close Quint, looking hard at something. Close Brody, staring, eyes widening. Close Cooper, moving in, surprised, interested, fascinated. Their combined point of view. We see the shark. First the fin, then the head and the upper jaws, 10 or 20 yards off to the side of the boat. It finally submerges, its tail giving a final slap. Angle on Quint. He puts his rod away and stares at it. And stares. And stares. Cooper is the first to break the silence.
Feet. It's in inches.
Feet. And 3 tons on him.
Cooper is nearly beside himself with a strange ecstasy. He leaps toward his gear.
I never saw one that big.
What do we do? Get some help? Radio in?
Quint ignores him and moves off to the pilot house, where he swiftly takes out his green case, opens it, and begins to assemble something inside it. Brody is alone on the deck with Hooper.
How are we going to handle this?
Hooper is contained in his own excitement. He has finally come up with what he was looking for, an expensive Nikon through which he peers intently at the shark alongside. He is taking half to himself as he fine-tunes the rangefinder and focus. He is squeaking and bubbling, unsuppressed emotional boil.
There's a formula. Girth, about 150 inches squared, divided by 800. Son of a bitch. They're not going to believe this. Divided by 3 tons. You're right, you old fart. 3 tons.
Close on Quint in the pilot house. He is assembling the greener harpoon gun, deftly screwing on the long wooden stock, the heavy steel barrel, the big shaft with the wicked barbs, the frame all rigged with line. Past him, on the deck, we can still see Hooper. As Quint is working with the gun, the radio suddenly squawks into life.
Is our radio voice?
Miss Martin Brody here.
Amity Point Light Station to Orca. This is Amity Point Light Station to Orca.
Quint snaps the mouthpiece to his lips.
Orca here.
I have Mrs. Martin Brody here.
Put her on.
Push this. Oh, it's working. Hello, Martin?
This is Quint, missus.
I just want to know if you're all right. The Coast Guard let me use the radio. Is Chief Brody there?
He's busy.
Well, is everything all right?
Just fine, missus. We'll be back soon. Everything's fine. We haven't seen anything yet. Orca out.
He snaps off the radio and, for good measure, pulls the plug from the power source. Angle from deck. The big shark is slicing through the water just below the surface, its fin high, the big gray back glistening, the teeth gleaming. Angle, including foredeck.
Damn it. I need something in the foreground to give me scale. Hey, stand over there. No, to your left.
He is positioned marking frantically, trying to include Brody, the shark, and the orca in the same frame. Quint finishes with the gun, and his final gesture snaps an explosive cartridge into the breech. He empties the box of cartridges onto the table, snatches up a big handful, and drops them into a pocket, heads out onto deck, bound for the bow pulpit. On deck, Quint appears with a harpoon gun. He throws one end of the line to Hooper.
Here, rig this to the forward keg up there.
He indicates the barrels on the foredeck.
Get up there and steer her. Follow my hand and follow her steady. I've got to get a clean shot at that poker's head.
Quint moves up toward the bow. Brody goes up to the flying bridge to take the wheel. Hooper starts for the foredeck, but stops to rummage in his kit, throwing gear around as he desperately hunts for something.
Hurry up, rig the line.
Angle on Hooper. He finds what he's looking for. A small, powerful strobe unit, waterproofed, a miniature signal beacon. He triggers it and begins to pulse with light that he can see even in the sun. Hooper scampers to the foredeck and begins to rig the light to the first barrel as the shark begins to surface near the bow.
Come to port. Watch my hand. Steady now.
He guides Brody with hand signals. Brody ties urgently to get it right, not to oversteer, to try to hold on to the big boat with its throbbing diesels on course that Quint is indicating.
The line, man, the line.
Hooper is rigging like crazy from the flying bridge. Brody steering FG, Hooper on the foredeck with the barrels, Quint leaning out over the pulpit, the gun at the ready, the shark crossing inexorably in front of them. Close on Quint, agonizing over his shot as the shark approaches, glancing back to see if the line is properly rigged and Hooper is clear off it.
Get clear, damn you.
The shark is in position. Hooper shouts a moment too late.
Clear.
Quint fires. The harpoon slams into the shark behind his head, halfway along the back front of the big dorsal fin.
Jesus H. Christ on a crutch.
Insert coiled rope and barrel. The rope snaps out in a blur of violent motion. Hooper jumps back and the barrel leaps out of its wrap. Pulled by the line rigged to the harpoon, it bounds forward into the sea, past Quint, who is already reloading, mounting another steel shaft. In the distance, the barrel bobs and skips violently in the water, dragged by the shark in his merciless moves. The foredeck, Quint.
Now you've done it, you pissant. Stop and rid the goddamn tinker toy to my gear. Let the bastard fight the keg for a while. He can't stay down that long.
Hooper, furious with himself, runs for the flying bridge to take the helm from Brody. The flying bridge, Brody and Hooper. Hooper has snatched the wheel and is ramming the throttle forward as he spins the wheel in a frantic 180-degree turn.
Rig another keg. I'm bringing her around.
His eyes dart about the ocean looking for the barrel as he hot dogs the ship around in a violent expression of his own disgust with himself.
God damn it. We had him. I'm coming about.
He spins the wheel again, trying to make the big boat handle like a Formula speedster. The decks tip and the rigging sways under the sudden strain. Brody is caught unaware and tumbles off his feet, sliding across the deck to fetch up against a wall. The M1 rifle is close to his hand. He stares at it. From the flying bridge, Hooper is anguished, intense, trying to find the shark, spinning the wheel, compounding his error, tipping the boat and rolling it, turns as he crosses his own wake. Quint has turned his back to the sea and is in the pulpit looking up at Hooper, staring at him, excluding everything else. As Quint folds his arms and stares at Hooper, we realize the sun is going down and it's getting dark.
Why don't we go in? Get another crack at him tomorrow.
We got a barrel on him. We can't lose him. We stay out here until we find him.
Cooper throttles back and the roar of the diesel subsides and the boat resumes an even keel, slowly circling the ocean.
Let's call in. We can radio and have a big boat here in an hour.
You hired me, remember? It's my 10,000. It's my shark.
Exterior Orca, open sea, night. Throttled back to slow ahead, the boat circles the water endlessly, staying over the shark like an avenging angel. Its running lights gleam in the night, and a glow lights the interior of the pilot house. A bright strobe glints on the water, winking, once like a firefly. Interior pilot house night. Brody and Hooper at the table, Quint at the wheel, keeping his eye on the light.
He's up again.
He corrects course slightly to keep the barrel buoy in sight. Hooper is sitting at the table, morose. Brody is staring at a couple of open cans of beans or beef stew or some other crappy rations Quint has on board. Dirty spoons stuck in the open can show us this has not been a formal dinner. Quint fumbles on the chart shelf and produces some of his home brew. He takes a pull and hands it to Hooper, who takes a double. Brody touches the fresh abrasion on his forehead where the fishing rod caught him. Quint bends forward and pulls his hair aside to show something near the crown.
That's not so bad. Look at this. St. Patty's Day in Naco Nolans in Boston, where some son of a bitch winged me upside the head with a spittoon.
Brody looks politely. Hooper stirs himself.
Look here. Steve Kaplan bit me during recess.
Quint is amused. He presents his own formidable forearm.
Wire burn, trying to stop a backstay from taking my head off.
Moray eel bit right through the wetsuit.
Brody is fascinated. Quint and Hooper take a long pull from the bottle.
Face and head scars come from amateur amusements in the bar room. This love line here, that's from some crazy Frenchie coming after me with a knife. I caught him with a good right hand right in the snot locker and laid him amongst the sweet peas.
Ever seen one like this?
He hauls up his pants leg, revealing a wicked white scar.
Bull shark scraped me while I was taking samples.
Nothing. A pleasure scar. Look here.
He starts rolling up his own dirty pants leg.
Slammed with the thresher's tail. Looks just like somebody caressed me with a nutmeg grater.
Brody is drawn to their roasting comparisons. He secretly checks his own appendix scar, decides not to enter the contest.
I'll drink to your leg.
And I'll drink to yours.
They toast each other. Brody looks around, sees the strobe blink once through the darkened window.
Wait a minute, young fella. Look, just look, don't touch.
He starts lowering his pants to reveal a place on one hip where the tissue is scarred and irregular.
Mako fell out of the tail rope and onto my deck. You don't get bitten by one of those bastards but twice. Your first and your last.
I think I can top that, dude. Mister.
Hooper is pulling at his shirt, trying to get it off, but it's tangling its sleeves and won't come undone.
Here, give me a hand here. I got something to show you.
Brody lends a hand. The shirt slips partway off.
Right here. Right there. Mary Ellen Moffat. Broke my heart. Let's drink to Mary Ellen.
The two men raise their mugs in a toast.
And here's to the ladies, and here's to their sisters. I'd rather one miss than a shipload of misters.
He drinks. Hooper follows.
Look at that. Bayonet Iwo Jima.
Come on. Middle appendix.
I almost had him.
Brody is looking at the small white patch on Quint's other forearm.
What's that one there?
Tattoo. I had it taken off.
Don't tell me. Death before dishonor. Mother. Simplify. Oh, don't tread on me. Come on. What is it?
USS Indianapolis, 1944.
What's that? A ship?
You were on the Indianapolis in 45? Jesus.
Remembering, closed on Quint.
Yeah, the USS Indianapolis, June 29th, 1945. 3.5 minutes past midnight, 2 torpedoes slammed from a Japanese submarine into our side. 2 or 3. We were still under sealed orders after delivering the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. We was heading back across the Pacific from Tinian or Leyte. Damn near 1,100 men went over that side. The lifeboats were slashed down so tight to make the bomb run, We couldn't cut a single one adrift, not one. And there was no rafts, none. That vessel sank in 12 minutes. Yes, that's all she took. We didn't see the first shark, so we'd been in the water about an hour. A 13-footer, near enough. A blue. You measure that by judging the dorsal to the tail. What we didn't know, of course, the captain knew, I guess some officers knew, was the bomb mission had been so secret, no distress signals was sent. What the men didn't know was that they wouldn't even list us for overdue for a week. Well, I didn't know that. I wasn't an officer. Just as well, perhaps. So some of us were dead already, in the water, just hanging, limp in our life jackets, and several already bleeding. And then the 300 or so laying on the bottom of the ocean. As the light went, the sharks came cruising. We formed tight groups, somewhat like squares in an old battle. You know what I mean? So that when one comes close, the man nearest would yell and shout and pound the water, and sometimes it worked, and the fish turned away. But other times the shark would seem to look right at a man, right into his eyes, and in spite of all that shouting and pounding, you'd hear that terrible high screaming, and the ocean would go red, then churn up as they ripped him. Then they'd reform our little squares. By the first dawn, the sharks had taken more than 100. Hard for me to count, but more than 100. I don't know how many sharks, maybe 1,000. I don't know, the average 6 men an hour. All kinds, blues, makos, tigers, all kinds. In the middle of the second day, some of us started to go crazy from the thirst. One fella cried out he saw a river. Another claimed he saw a waterfall. Some started to drink the ocean and choke on it. And some left our little groups, our little squares, and swam off all alone, looking for islands. And the sharks always took them right away. It was mainly the young fellows that did that. The older ones stayed where they were. The second day, my life jacket rubbed me raw. There's more blood in the water. Oh my. On Thursday morning, I bumped up against a friend of mine, Herbie Robinson from Cleveland, a bosun's mate. It seems he was asleep, but when I reached over to wake him, he bobbed in the water and I saw his body upbend because he'd been bitten in half beneath the waist. Well, Chief, so it went on. Bombers high overhead, but nobody noticing us. Yeah, suicides, sharks, and all this going on, crazy and dying of thirst. Noon the fifth day, Mr. Hooper, all Lockheed Ventura swung around and came in low. Yes, he did that. Yes, that pilot saw us, and nearly even a big fat PBY came down out of the sky and began the pickup. That was when I was most frightened of all. Just as I was waiting for my turn, just 2.5 hours short of 5 days and 5 nights, when they got to me and took me up. 1,100 of us went into the ocean. 316 got out. Yeah. 1945, June well, anyway, we delivered the bomb.
Exterior ocean, night. Quint has just finished his story, and we are looking across the quiet night sea to the Orca slowly circling in the night. The warm light in the pilot house barely revealing the figures of the 3 men inside. The red and green running lights winking along the ship's flanks. We hear the distant boom and draw out hoot of a whale. Interior Orca pilot house, night.
What the hell?
It's a whale out there.
There's a brief, eerie pause. Quint breaks the silence by muttering into song, which he slowly swells.
Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and it went right to my head.
Gradually, Hooper and Brody join in, and the pilot house becomes a warm, cozy place. Exterior ocean. The Orca and its song in the night. In the foreground, the barrel and strobe light flash up into view, and behind them the big dorsal fin surfaces, and glides ominously toward the ship. Interior pilot house. The song is continuing, and we hear the barest hint of a scraping sound from the hull deep beneath the men. Quint's eyes abruptly narrow as his sensitive ears are the first to hear the abrasion of a ship. Things vibrate on the shelves. Quint stops singing. Hooper and Brody continue a duet. The scraping repeats, and Hooper now senses it. He drops out of the song, leaving Brody singing solo.
Start the engines.
As Brody hears this and is about to stop singing, the boat is suddenly bumped from below, and the gentle scraping turns into a violent assault somewhere on the understructure of the vessel. Water bubbles into the hold. Brody starts and looks at the radio. He is about to move toward it when Quint's urgent instructions stop him.
He's busting the shaft. Start the pump.
Brody.
Where?
The bilge pumps. There.
He leaves Brody in the pilot house and runs onto the deck, grabbing his M1 rifle as he goes. Brody hits a switch and we hear the pump starting. Angle on the Orca. Hooper is on the flybridge, starting the engines, but the diesels sound wrong.
Cut the engines.
Hooper does.
Rudder bearings.
The boat is assaulted again. Quint fires over the stern, emptying a clip into the water.
Get up. Forward. Watch for him.
Brody moves cautiously up to the bow.
Keep your eyes open, Mr. Hooper.
Hooper stands ready on the bridge, Quint pacing the stern deck.
Nobody sleeps. Nobody.
He jams a fresh clip into the M1. The men scan the seas around him. Quint resumes their song, louder this time, more defiant.
Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
Hooper and Brody join in from their respective positions. Exterior, ocean wide on the Orca. The men in place singing, the water sparkling toward the horizon, the stars twinkling above. The sound of a distant whale in the distant counterpoint. Exterior, the Orca, dawn. Brody is at the wheel of the flying bridge while Hooper and Quint have a hatch up on the stern, are working together to repair the damaged rudder controls torn loose by the shark. Hooper is bucking the steel rod while Quint is hammering away at the joint, trying to drive a new pin. The engine is idling. Bits of iron clutter the deck, along with a few rough, outsized tools and greasy rags and gaskets.
More left rudder. More. Left hand down now, Chief.
Brody tries to comply.
Let me get a better angle on it. Now.
Quint hammers again.
You spent the housing. You can hear it.
And we can. The Orca's diesels are no longer smooth. Brody suddenly sees something and points. Brody's point of view, the water. The barrel is surfaced directly ahead of them, just off the port side. They are drifting up to it.
Barrel.
The strobe light winks at them. Quint holds up a hand. Quiet. Everything stops as they watch, the barrel coming slowly up on them.
It's him.
He takes a killing lance from the rack. Hooper gets a boat hook.
He's under the keg. Careful.
Hooper leans out gingerly, snagging the barrel with the hook. It bobs lightly in the water, an innocent bystander. Hooper shifts his pole, takes hold of the rope, pulling it in.
Easy. Just want to goose him up. The minute he runs, drop it or you'll lose your hands.
Hooper gets the line and starts hauling it up. No resistance. It comes up easily over the transom into a coil on the deck. He and Quint exchange looks.
Here, give me. I don't see what he's been doing.
Water, angle. Both men are draped over the side, their chins almost touching the water on the aft side. From the opposite starboard direction, fully unfastened from the barrel, comes the great white. First the fin, then the conical nose and the upper border of the white, wide, grinning teeth. It knifes through the water in absolute silence, propelling itself with a tremendous speed toward the unsuspecting men. Close, Brody. His instincts shine, as does his newly acquired sense of direction.
Shark. Starboard.
Close, Hooper and Quint. They turn just in time, and a long spine stretch saves them from the instant decapitation. The great white passes the transom, the harpoon still in its side and trailing 5 feet of chewed off cable. It rolls on its side and looks at them as it passes. Past the stern, the huge tail lashes out, ripping the rope out of Quint's hands, shearing a huge swath through the paint, peeling it off like a plane, taking one of the bronze letters off the word orca. The shark begins to arc to sea, its fin cutting the water, and starts circling the boat. Quint notices his cut hand, palm bleeding, realizing how close he came to losing it.
Haul in that rope. It'll foul us. Start the engines.
The diesels start with a terrible grinding.
Easy. It'll tear right out.
The shaft is giving.
Hooper slams the hatch, kicks the tools to one side, clearing the deck for action once again.
That's it. Radioing in for help.
Shut up. Just pump her out.
Yeah, Captain. As soon as I make a call.
Brody heads for the radio in the pilot house, Quint close. A perfectly terrible look comes over him. He raises up and starts after Brody. Brody disappears into the cabin. Quint pauses outside and sees, insert, Quint's lead-centered baseball bat. His calloused hand grabs it fiercely. Interior radio shack. Brody picks up the radio, flicking on knobs and lights onto the complex console.
Beg your pardon?
Angled doorway. Quint appears, silhouetted in the hot light of the door, raising his bat.
Duty first and pleasure after.
Close, Brody, looking up in horror, covering his face. Close, Quint. Quint brings down the bat with all the strength he can summon. Crash. Sparks fly. Lights blink and go out. Plastic sections of metal ricochet all over the cabin as Quint demolishes the ship-to-shore radio. Quint takes a happy breath, winks at Brody, and hands him the bat.
Excuse me.
Brody's adrenaline turns his fear into rage. His glasses are cracked or broken by flying pieces of radio. He seizes the bat and pounds the shattered radio for emphasis.
Some great idea. Now, where are we? Some goddamn skipper you are. You're certifiable. You know that? You're a real treat. Certifiable. Bananas.
His tirade is interrupted by an urgent bellow from Hooper. Close, Hooper, pointing at the fin.
Coming right at us.
No, coming right at us. Slow ahead. He'll hit us head on. Slower. Throttle back.
Angle over the bow.
Hard to port.
Hooper pulls the boat into a tight right turn, and Quint has a shot at the upward rolling flank. He sinks it with careful precision.
Try shaking that out.
Brody emerges from the cabin as the rope zips overboard. The barrel, changing over, catapults into the air before plunging into the ocean in a cloudy splash.
Did you get him in the head?
No, no, no. Swing around after him.
On the flybridge, Hooper can see the fin reaching ahead of the barrel. Diving down, up again, Quint prepares another iron. Brody is digging in his bag. He comes up with his 2-inch .357 service revolver.
More gas. Go to half. Get me right alongside him.
The engine thuds and knocks.
We can't rev up this high.
Suddenly, the barrel gongs into the side of the Orca.
Watch it.
Hooper skillfully avoids the speeding rope.
Attaboy.
Quint leans to one side, harpoon over his head. The great white breaks water and...
Take two. They're small.
He sinks it deep. We hear shots. As the new rope whips out, Brody can be seen standing on the gunwale in regulation police combat patrol stance, holding his .357 in both hands, firing at the shark's head. Quint shakes his head in amused disbelief at this as the barrel goes over.
Don't shoot him anymore. He's crazy on his own blood already.
Can't stand here doing nothing.
Order in the court.
Water level angle, he has seen the two barrels pop to the surface.
That'll do it. He's having trouble with two.
He yells to Hooper and Brady as he swings behind the controls.
Grab yourselves a couple of poles.
Quint steers slow ahead, engine protesting, as he maneuvers toward the moving barrels. Quint peers down, steering closer and closer.
Get ready. Now snag them.
Together, Brody and Hooper hook a barrel rope and hold off for dear life as the shark changes course.
Pull the ropes and tie them onto the transom. Free ride.
Brody and Hooper pull in with all they are worth as Quint helps out by wheeling in a circle. He laughs to himself, enjoying the spectacle. Close to Hooper, securing the rope to a client, but allowing the barrel to hang overboard. Brody ties his now perfect bowline adjacent to cleat. Wide angle Orca. The boat is jarred violently from side to side as the underwater force of the great white jerks and heaves them to and fro, up and down, side to side. Angle, Hooper and Brody are both torn off their feet as the boat is thrust forward. Flybridge, Quint sees the fin ahead. It is pulling the boat.
Get tired. That's the idea. Here's a little reverse for you.
The shark leaps partially out of the water, and the sight is both horrifying and awesome. Its jaws break the water, snapping at the ropes and have him snarled and frustrated. Quint throws the Orca into neutral and shouts down.
Haul in. Watch the prop.
With that, Quint slides down to the prow, putting another shaft into his gun. finding satisfaction in its heft and balance. The shark can be seen directly ahead, threshing closer.
Now, untie him, quick. He'll tear us to pieces.
He fires the iron, and the shark veers downward in a gushing shower of spray. Hooper and Brody, they're trying to untie from the cleats, but both ropes are stretched too taut. They jump out of the way, falling flat on the deck as the ropes sweep over them, knocking over objects skittering across the deck. A tight jerking motion, and the orca is dragged through the water backwards, and much too fast. Water is splashing up over the transom and its backwards wake. The engines groan and complain.
Damn head is too far away. He's too big.
Wrenched to one side, Quint is knocked from his feet. Close, the two cleats. A moment of slackness, then a great surge of raw strength. The rope snaps the cleats off, screws splintered wood spraying. The barrels fly over the water. They disappear beneath the turbulent gray surface. The three men, breathing heavily, bruised and pouring sweat, look out at the black water. Angle, ocean. Pop, pop, pop. 1, 2, 3. Barrels surface, ready for more.
He can't go to sleep, not with all these on him.
Brody looks down at his feet. There is salt water up to their shoe tops.
What about us?
Have to pump her steady, that's all.
The barrels start a wide circle. Each cuts through the water, pushing a wave before it and leaving a wake behind.
Follow him. You start pumping out there.
Quint tosses Brody the hand pump, then picks up his M1 and checks his load.
He's heading under.
No way, he can't.
Angle, ocean. The barrels approaching the orca dip below the surface. 1, 2, 3.
Where'd he go?
Brody looks around. Hooper on the flying bridge, searching in all directions. Quint is looking more appalled every second.
He can't stay down there with 3 barrels on him. Where is he?
Have you ever had one do this?
No.
Booming thud at the keel. Brody slides onto the wet deck and Quint loses his footing, falling onto Brody's arms. With Hooper on the flybridge, it seems the only place out of reach of the shark. Quint climbs up, Brody following him, reloading his pistol. Just then, the barrels pop up, ahead, veer left, and duck under.
Follow him.
He's under.
Brody in his point of view.
There. The barrels have surfaced, and we see the monster shadows sliding under the orca, seemingly endless. Violent scrape, this is not my line.
Sorry.
He's trying to sink us.
Head astern, zigzag.
Quint is grimly silent. Brody senses that Quint is in the fight of his life. The orca is taking evasive action, but the 3 barrels are closing the gap, the engines coughing and missing, destroying themselves with every rotation of the damaged ship.
He's chasing us. I don't believe it.
Full throttle to port.
Angle on the bridge. Hooper is jamming the throttle forward, but the engine is pounding and knocking wildly. The barrels circle and move in. Quint has his rifle ready.
Hold her.
He leaps to his gear, trying desperately to get his dart gun. Just then, the shark attacks, breaking water and rising over the boat like a rocket. Snout, jaws, pectoral fins, belly falling sideways. A vast spray drenches the men. Quint fires into the belly, the bullets pocking the smooth whiteness.
Keep him here. Keep him.
The orca shudders from side to side. From Hooper's point of view, we can take the shark gripping the transom in his jaws, shaking the boat as he saws the massive head from side to side, trying to tear a chunk out of the very hull. Quint has reloaded and is firing into the fish. Brody has a wicked pointed gaff and is swinging wildly at the snout, gnashing and gouging it, trying for the eyes. The killing lust is on all 3 men.
Rolling back.
The boat surges. The shark gives a final unbalanced wrench and disengages. The dorsal fin circles off, beginning a wide loop around the boat. The engine quivers and dies, the boat without power, rolling half awash, a wounded victim. The fin dips, the barrels follow. The shark disappears beneath the waves. There is complete silence. The 3 men on the deck. In the dead quiet, we can hear the lap of the waves against the hull. The hoarse panting and breathing of the men. The pings and pops of the cooling, drying engines. Quint in the transom. He eyes the stern. Huge cracks and broken timber testify to the fury of the attack.
What can that gun of yours do?
Powerhead with 20 cc's of strychnine nitrate. If I can hit him with this, I can kill him. It got to be close. Very, very close.
You got to go in the water.
On deck, later. Quint and Hooper are assembling the shark cage, its shiny bars, the only undamaged things on deck. Brody is working too, bolting the sections together.
Rig the cable with the roof eyebolts.
The men are speaking in near whispers, quiet in the silence that surrounds them. Hooper is in his wetsuit, adjusting weights, mask, tanks, etc. The cage is standing in the stern. Quint runs a line from the gin pole to the roof section. Hooper climbs in through the top.
Take me up.
Brody cranks the winch, hoisting the cage and Hooper into the air. Quint balances the gin pole lines, Hooper crouching in the cage, examining it for stresses. Satisfied, he holds out his hand. Quint points the spear gun into it. Close on Hooper in the cage, he examines his weapon, checking the power load with the big wicked-looking syringe head, uncapped to reveal its razor point.
Lower away, Chief. Try to keep him off me until I'm under.
Hooper, inside, looking out the bars of the cage, gives Brody a reassuring smile, then pops his mouthpiece between his teeth and checks his regulator. Brody steps back, and with Quint guiding the cage, begins lowering it off the gin pole boom arm into the sea alongside the boat. Brody and Hooper stare at each other as their faces pass, Hooper sliding down into the cold gray ocean. As Hooper disappears beneath the surface, Quint and Brody exchange a long look between them. Underwater cage, Hooper's point of view. Submerging. The sky, horizon, waterline, clean, fresh sea air. Then the magnificent inner spaces with bubbles sparkling in front of us. Angle Hooper in the cage. As he floats to 20 feet, Hooper never stops looking around degrees. He removes the rubber guard from the needle and waits. Exterior, the surface, Brody and Quint. Their turning heads tell us that all the barrels are still circling. Suddenly, both heads stop turning. The sea. The barrels have come to a stop. Delicately, they change course and meander toward the lowered cage. Underwater, Hooper. His back is to us. He is just now contemplating a visual sweep and turns, eyes front into close-up, and fixes wildly on something monstrous and fascinating. Hooper's point of view. The water is clear and shafts of sunlight streak downward in the blue. From the deep gloom, diving slowly, smoothly, comes the shark. It moves with no apparent effort, sinuous beyond comparison. As it nears the cage, it turns, its ghastly length passes right in front of him. First the snout, then the jaw, slack and smiling, then the black eye. Hooper tentatively reaches out. It is too far for this strychnine pole. The vinyl flesh is pocked with bullet holes, iron scars, gaffing hooks, and strange open wounds that tinge the passing currents with pink. Surface. The trailing barrels going and scratch the keel of the orca above. Brody and Quint leap back. Hooper, close. The shark has vanished into a cloud of rising silt. Hooper, expecting the shark to attack out of that same general direction, braces himself. Pole extended through the bars, breathing faster, straining his eyes into the gloom, and we see that the shark attacking from behind him. The cage is sent careening. Hooper grabs the bars for dear life. The shark has grabbed the steel struts and into its brutal jaws, shaking the cage relentlessly from side to side, bending the bars like clothes hangers. Hooper can't turn the pointed end of the pole around, his body jammed as far away from the non-rational attacker as possible. Hooper is trapped. The shark withdraws to get some running room and charges again, the bleeding snout thrust deeper into the yawning bars, the jaws snapping and twisting 2 feet from Hooper's torso, the tail thrusting it forward. Hooper drops the strychnine pole between the bars and it tumbles slowly toward the raptured depth. All the shark needs is one more good thrust before separating Hooper and the waistline. Through frantic bubbles, Hooper fumbles with the overhead hatch cover, kicking up and out of the cage. The shark backpedals with its tail, but the broad head won't shake loose. Hooper rushes downward after the strychnine pole. Angle, shark. The shark twists free of the cage and arrows downward after Hooper. Hooper nearly recovers the pole. Again, it slips from his frightened grasp and this time disappears into a narrow abyss. Hooper turns and looks up. The great white is lunging at him, 20 feet above. Surface. One of the barrel ropes snakes around the cage rope and pulls taut. Hooper, deep. Turning to meet the monster, which, though held back for a moment by the snarled rope, now surges forward. Surface, Brody and Quint. The orca is listing dangerously aft. The gin pole bent almost to the breaking point. Brody is in a frenzy trying to haul up the cage. Quint attaches the end of Brody's rope to a hand winch. The gin pole is splitting.
Let go of it.
The pole gives way, the rope whipping down on the gunwale. The pulling of the tongue below is tipping the orca, dragging it, but Quint won't give up on the winch. Brody hauls on the rope, barehanded. Underwater, Hooper, maneuvering downward away from the jaws. Suddenly, the crazed shark veers upward for the surface. Surface, Quint. The winch is working faster now, Quint demonically winding in. The crushed cage bangs against the hull and breaks water. Brody is horrified. The cage is empty.
He's coming up.
He's taking him.
Master angle, the shark breaks water right beside the orca, rising it with a great whooshing noise. It rises vertically, towering overhead, blocking him out of the sun. The pectoral fins seem to reach forward. Master angle continued. The shark, in all of its monstrous glory, falls onto the stern of the boat with a shattering crash, narrowly missing Quint and Brody. It drives the stern underwater. The ocean pours in over the transom. The jaws snap from side to side. Brody flounders backward away from it. Close, Brody. He is clinging to the mast for dear life as the ship begins to tilt to stern and everything starts to break loose around him. Nightmare angle, deck of the orca. The giant jaws are snapping irresistibly at everything, the great chunks of wood torn out at the deck and superstructure. Deck chair, irons, rope, gear, beer cans, bottles, Brody's bag, all are food for the insatiable maw blindly churning away. Quint is clinging next to a rack of lances. He is enraged at this ultimate violation of his territory. He snatches up a lance and hurls himself at the shark with wordless bellow. The great head weaves side to side. The deck is at a treacherous incline, slippery with blood and seawater. Quint's footing falters and slips. He stumbles at the mouth of hell. The big teeth seize him and snap. Quint's roar of rage and pain is choked off as his body is clamped between the grinding, gnawing teeth, and his head and legs suddenly contort as the shark's teeth meet across his torso. Blood gushes onto the deck. The remnants of the body tumble from the shark's mouth. Brody sees the horror, hears the screams. In his desperation, he tears loose one of Hopper's remaining air tanks and hurls it at the monster. It tumbles into the bloody well, wedging across the back of the mouth, the thick steel blocking the cruel jaws. The shark's head shakes even more violently, trying to clear the cold iron, but the tank is in to stay. Deck of the orca, listing badly. To avoid sliding into the jaws, Brody scrambles on the tilting deck, bracing himself in the cabin door to avoid pitching down into the bloody mouth. He fights his way into the cabin, already shambles. Below him on the deck, the shark lunges again, shifting weight so that the boat is now stern down and listening to the side. Water from the sea pours into the cabin. Another lunge by the shark. The huge snout and jaws slam up against the door frame, blocking escape, bloody, gnashing. More seawater. To stay in the cabin is to go down with the ship. Brody clambers as far from the shark as he can against the forward wall of the pilot house. He sees the window Hooper used before. It's blocked by barrels and debris. He breaks the side window highest above the water, edges out onto the battered bridge. The shark rolls around, now half in the water. The ship is sinking. The sea is not a viable alternative. Brody climbs up into the flying bridge. The shark is still lunging and snapping. Brody is forced to climb higher and higher as the ship slowly sinks beneath him. Close, Brody. He scrambles for his life onto the flying bridge, sees the M struck there, seizes it. Over Brody, looking down at the stern. He is bracing himself, aiming the rifle, taking a bead on the steel tanks, silver gleaming in the bloody shark's mouth. He fires and fires. Bullets shatter the shark's teeth, punching holes in the dripping snout. Wide on the orca explosion. With a muffled boom, the perfect symmetry of the shark is suddenly blown apart in a geyser of steel and blood as Brody's shot hits the pressurized tank. A 30-foot cloud of water, steel and shark and debris cover the sky. A gigantic convulsion hurls the great white's mangled body into the sea. The orca slowly begins to turn over in its death roll. Underwater, the shark's carcass floating down in a cloud of blood and debris. A shadow clouds the water, and the orca's mass begins to slip into the frame. Close Hooper, emerging from beneath the surface. He raises his mask, spits out his mouthpiece, and kicks toward Brody. Surface, Brody and Hooper. Brody is holding onto a cushion, barely afloat, relieved the shark is dead, yet stunned to see Hooper still alive. The two men share weak laughter, which soon trails off.
Wind.
No. You think we can get back with those?
Surface, Brody and Hooper, another angle. They swim through the debris, using two barrels as floats, as dozens of seagulls feast upon shark remains on the surface.
What day is it?
Wednesday? Nah. Tuesday. Huh. I think.
Think the tide's with us?
Just keep kicking.
You know, I used to hate the water.
I can't imagine why.
High shot from the shore. The two tiny, miserable heroes swim ashore as the credits roll. Fade out. The end.
Possible.
Yay.
Oof, that was awesome.
Good.
So
guys.
good, man. That script is just impeccable, man. There's so much suspense in there, man. I mean, just the how they wrote it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and you guys all did amazing. Like seriously, that was really good. And everybody, come on, clap for Toni reading all of that.
Yeah, Toni.
Amazing.
Great. That was
Toni,
great.
that was so
That was-
much description. Like
And
you
that's like a-
crushed it.
And that's like a single take cold read. I mean, come on, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a cold read, except for my audition. I didn't read the script beforehand. So there were a few times when I was stumbling and I was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have this inflection in my voice, but
It
oh well,
doesn't
whatever.
matter. It doesn't
It was-
matter.
it was
It was
really good.
beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, Tony.
Yeah,
really
that
good.
was
That
like
was stunning.
prime.
And
So
I clap-
good.
It was. And again, everybody else's performance, so good.
Yeah, you guys all did great. Thank you so much for paying attention while I read all that boring stuff. You guys were all on top of it. It was
I was
awesome.
lost in your narration. I was
And-
very
and they're
lost in your narration.
trying to-
What?
Trick you
I
to
did
throwing you
take
all
the
these
dog out for a
curveballs.
walk.
Yeah.
Somebody
A
wore a
lot
dog
of
out for a
curveballs in
walk.
there, man.
Yeah, I did, Toni.
That's awesome. Oh, that's right, because you're gone at the end there, aren't you?
Yeah, after the stuff in the hospital, I was done with it. So
Yeah, you can turn on your video again, Andy. Your video went off when
I didn't do that. I don't know who did
I
it.
know. I did.
Aha.
Oh my gosh, Chance, thank you so much for your very long monologue because my bladder was going to explode. And I was just like, I know this part, it's so long. I turned off my camera, I put myself on mute.
Sure, no problem.
So glad for mute, hey?
You can stop screen.
Oh,
sharing the
screen
script.
share? Yeah, okay, thank you.
There we go. Now we're all there. Awesome.
If you guys get a chance, go back and watch that monologue, man. I think his name's Robert Shaw. Does such a great job of telling that story, man. I mean, he's like completely and totally engaging for that entire time. It's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, I knew that story. My father told me that story, from a third person point of view a long time ago. And to hear it and see it in this movie, it was just amazing.
And the thing is, too, is that's like a true story, right? Like,
oh,
there was a
absolutely.
ship
Yeah.
that dropped off the bomb that they dropped in Hiroshima that killed, one of the worst deaths in any war ever,
Yeah.
And then that boat came home and sank.
Yeah,
and
got torpedoed on the
kept
way
getting
home.
picked off by sharks. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, horrific.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That
his
monologue was
performance-
beautiful. You read it so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Thank you.
Dude, and Jacob, man, dude, on all those voices, dude, you did so good, man. Each one of them was totally unique and different. I mean, you bounced from like a kid to the announcer to the spectator, the director. So good, dude. So good.
Thank
I
you.
liked your
Appreciate
kids.
that, Clint.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm a big kid at heart. No. And then Marvin with all his like costumes and stuff, costume
Yeah.
changes. So fun, always.
Very nice.
Dude,
That was awesome.
Marvin, when you did the like what was it, the announcer or the TV host, man, like perfect.
All right, 10:22 over here in Alberta.
Oh, you're getting
I
tired?
think we did pretty good.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
great. Good
For
timing, good
time-wise,
pacing,
too.
everybody.
It was nice talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
really.
anybody want a couple trivia questions?
Let's go.
All right. Here, I can share the screen. Let's see, guys. And we'll do this one if you guys want. All right. Where was the location of Jaws filmed? Who knows this?
California, that's my guess.
I would say somewhere on the East Coast.
Florida.
Good guesses, good guesses. And the answer is Martha's Vineyard off of Massachusetts. All right.
Believe it or not, that's where sign language was first recorded in America.
Oh, wow.
Really? That's cool, dude. That's a good. It's another good fact.
That is a really good fact. All right. Which animal belongs to how many deaths per year?
Well, probably shark is one of the higher ones.
Hippos are way up
Yeah,
there.
hippos is high up there.
I would say sharks is A.
Yeah.
No, I think sharks is higher because, you know, there's a
sharks
lot of
is-
harvesting of that, illegal
I'm
harvesting.
gonna say A is elephants. That's my guess,
Wait.
and then B is sharks.
Wait, are we talking like human deaths or how many?
Human
Oh,
deaths,
and where?
yes.
And
Human
is
deaths.
this-
Yeah, sharks is definitely A.
How many of these animals
Gotta be
kill how
worldwide
many
for anything
humans?
to be a million.
Yeah, these are worldwide.
I would say
Mosquitoes would be.
mosquitoes
Almost
probably.
Mosquitoes would be E.
Actually, my guess is
mosquitoes
sharks
would
is
be
going to be
E.
one near the bottom.
Mosquitoes
Sharks
E
kills a lot of
definitely.
people, kill a lot of people.
Are you guys ready for the answers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
yeah, mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
There we go.
Dogs,
Mosquitoes.
dude.
Dogs.
Hi,
Dogs are
wow.
coming up in hard.
Yeah, but that's like,
Mhm.
again, mainly stray dogs with rabies that give diseases to people. But in the
Yeah.
US, 30 to
Oh,
50,
okay.
the number's going
Well,
up. In
'cause-
Canada, only 1 to 2.
Don't
Wow, lots
mosquitoes
of
connected to
elephants.
malaria and other things like that?
Yep, exactly.
Dang, dude, what are you guys
I
doing
know,
up in Canada with your dogs, man?
Well,
You
no,
just got
I
like
only have
really
1 to
happy
2.
dogs up there.
I
They're
know.
good, the dogs,
I don't know if that's true. I feel like I've heard of more than that, but
Yeah.
No, I'll just say
It's because your dog comes up and he's like, "Hey, dude, how you doing there, neighbor?"
very polite. Very polite up
Oh,
here.
sorry there, neighbor.
Shake your
I don't-
hand.
I
I
got
don't know
rabies,
about-
you know, I don't want to bite you or nothing.
I don't know
Oh my
about
God.
dogs.
Just for the record, wolves and coyotes are not our dogs, okay?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know about deaths, but when I was doing census work, they told us that the #1 injury for census takers was dog bites.
I
Wow.
believe
You
that.
know, aggressive dogs, they can be quite vicious. I actually was bitten on the face by a vicious dog when I was a child, so.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's a way more injuries than this. This is just what they report
Yeah.
Yeah.
as deaths.
Well, vicious dogs can kill little kids. There's actually a lot in
For
the
sure.
news about that, so.
Yeah,
And we have like how many sharks kill humans? How many
it's 10. Wow.
sharks do you think? I messed this sentence up. How many sharks do you think are killed by humans?
I would say
lot.
probably
Quite a
million.
few.
That's surprising if it's only
Like
10.
legally, I don't know, but illegally, quite a few.
All right. And
How do you
the
mean legally or I don't know.
answer?
Because not everything is
100
done
more.
according to the
Whoa.
letter of the law.
100 million sharks.
Yeah.
And I
That makes
double checked
sense.
most of these from a few different sources.
Oh,
so-
how many shark? Oh, I see. I got it backwards. I
It's
stopped.
how
Thought
much-
you were talking
Yeah,
about
it's actually-
human
hunting
killed
is
by
done
sharks.
is legal.
This movie
Now I get it.
actually, I mean, it was the first blockbuster, but if I remember correctly, the writer felt like so bad for the frenzy that this caused and spent pretty much all the money that he made from this and his entire life after to promote conservation and protect sharks.
For that reason, one reason I wanted to have this slide and bring this up to compare
Yeah.
these two things
Yeah.
and compare these numbers to other things that we like. Most of us, a lot of people would like take a ride on an elephant, no problem. And again,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are trained elephants and this and that, but then everyone's terrified of sharks.
Well, and it's interesting too because there's this documentary. It's a short, like 5-minute documentary about what happened when they introduced the Mexican gray wolf back into Yosemite, and like how much influence that had on all parts of the ecosystem. And then you just got to think about the underwater ecosystem. And if you're pulling out 100 million sharks a year, like what is that doing? You know?
Yeah, you know, this also brings to light the amount of illegal hunting and poaching practices that are around the world that needs to stop, because so many species are going extinct or endangered because people do whatever the crap they want.
And with the sharks alone, you see the stuff on Vice where they catch them, they cut off the fins, and they throw them back. You know,
I know, that's so awful.
Sorry to end it on a sad note. Let's do more happy stuff.
Sorry, I just thought I would bring that up because it's an important issue.
I brought that, and it's important. We need to talk about it. But
I think for the viewers, man, just going over some of the notes that I had from that script. I mean, there were so many cool things about it. You know, like I really, really liked like how they would set up the direction. I mean, it was so clear and concise, and it was just like, this is exactly what's happening. Boom, boom, boom. Very little frivolous words until like the very end where he says nightmare angle. And like, I mean, how much better can you describe that when the shark jumps up, and when you see it in the movie, like when he jumps up onto the boat and he's like chomping away and you are going to die. I mean, that was really cool. And then, I mean, there's just so many things that they did with this script that just makes it just a fun to read, just as a script on its own.
Yeah, there was more to chew on in this script in terms of lines. It was awesome.
Or boats if you're a shark. But yeah, like and how tight there are with some lines. Just at the end, he just asks Quint, and he just says no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
and
like
that's what
how
they do
in
with
that
this.
very end, it's like he bounces between short little dialogue sections and then goes into the action because there's so much going on. But like, if you're sitting there, let's say you guys are watching this and you're a script writer, right? Like you're trying to write a script that somebody's gonna want to read, right? Like when I just noticed it in myself, when he's jumping between the actions and the dialogue, I mean, it's just creating all of this suspense, and it's just building and pulling your focus back and forth. And like, just imagine being the script reader, you know, and like going through that and reading that and being like, all right, dude, here's something, like we need to make this into a film.
Totally. You going to say something, Marvin? I think along screenwriting as well.
I was just going to say that a lot of the script writing nowadays is in such a brief description because a lot of times things are going towards the director wants to do his thing. So you're allowed to hint at it in a script, but it's actually a director that'll actually take it into that kind of an area. I'm seeing now so much more with scripts nowadays versus scripts that you've seen in the past.
Yeah, they're a lot more.
You know, even right down to the direction, right? You know, close up here. Well, as soon as the director sees that, it's like, well, he doesn't know what I'm doing, right? This is my job.
And I know it's getting late for some, and some might want to get going. So we'll just go around, and you guys again I'll link to these time codes in the description, so you guys can say what you guys, if there's anything else you guys want to push or where people can find you, if they like your stuff and they want to hire you for their things. And so we'll start with Chance and Denise, which you guys both did amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And Denise, we noticed your lab coats and your hats, and also I didn't mean to leave you off with the costume changes. Thank you. That's awesome. All right, go ahead, Chance.
Oh, I just wanted to say thanks to my mom for being here. It's her first time doing this, so I thought that was pretty cool. We've done many things over the years like this where she and I have done stuff, so it was kind of cool that we were able to do it in my house together this first time. Next time it'll probably be on our own computer. We just didn't get a chance to finish it. She has a brand new computer that we had some issues with last night, and so we had to come and do it together. But I thought all you guys did really good. I thought it was a good play. Or good script, and I'd like to thank Toni for doing a lot of reading that I don't know if I'd want to do the narration. It was a long part for me this time, but man, that was a lot of reading. Wow. So that was good too.
Did a
so
great job, Toni.
And future ones, like some recommended, like Don, for example, like we're going to break that up and give that to multiple people, so it's not as much on a single person.
That would be awesome.
Anything else you would like to say, Denise?
Just, I'm, like I said, we're both retired, so this is just kind of something we're doing fun on the side. And this is the second time around for me, so I will be doing it again, and looking forward to some of the upcoming scripts I see on the list that I'm definitely interested in. But just having fun with it. It's pretty cool. So thank you.
Very nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Angelina, on my screen, you're on the upper left, so I'm going to start going across that way.
Okay. Oh, I am unmuted. I'm Angelina Peterson, and I don't remember what I'm supposed to say.
Just if you
I have
a website
yeah.
you'd like, you don't have to say
Sure.
anything. You just have.
No,
if you,
always good to, like, Marvin, you're doing a fantastic job of advertising your stuff. I think that's cool. So I have a business called Your Adored Life, which captures families' stories on video. So family documentaries. And it's been really, really nice to see people's stories getting out there and people opening up, and it's beautiful to watch. So.
Yeah. So before your family member is one of the 10 people that gets eaten by a shark.
Yes.
Company.
Come see me, talk to me, and we'll get it on film, but not the shark
eating.
eating.
Save the memories.
Yes. Yeah. The memories that are special.
And the legacy.
And thank you, Toni, for taking over the reading, because yeah, those descriptions and stuff are a lot.
And the description.
And I thought you had a lot last week.
Yeah, I know. I was like, let's give this one to Toni. Okay?
She wants to try it.
I mean, some of it did sound like a really good audiobook. So
yeah. Right.
Don.
You're welcome.
I'm Don Lampasoni. I just like doing these. I like reading, playing characters. I do video production for a living, so I'm okay work-wise. But if you ever want to check out what I'm doing, it's just my name, donlampasoni.com. It's some of the stuff that I'm doing. I can't post everything because some of the stuff I do is political. And if you didn't notice, politics is a little problematic now.
What?
we
won't talk about that.
Yeah, so
I never pay attention.
In case you were wondering, so I don't talk a whole lot about what I do, but I'm more of a post-production house, a single person production house. So I do a little bit of everything.
But if someone wants to hire you for acting, go find the contact information on your website.
That or if you need someone to help produce a feature or a short film, I'm always willing to do that too. If there's
did you say Maryland? So mainly there, or
I'm in Maryland, but as an editor I can work pretty much anywhere.
Okay, cool.
So remotely. So yeah.
Awesome. And Vicki.
You can find me on Facebook under the name Vicki Dykes. I'm also on Instagram. I'm Yoga Grandma 7, which at this point is a lie. I'm Yoga Grandma 9 now. So I have 9 grandchildren. And yeah, I really am enjoying this. I'm at the point in my life where I'm doing different things now. So yeah, perfect for me.
That's amazing.
And thank you again.
Thank you. Marvin, your turn.
Marvin Lickness. Again, you can see some of my stories behind. See if that even works.
You have to have it like within your body for it to stay there.
Yeah. You can actually find me on Facebook. It's very easy. All you have to put in is The Pool Shark, but with no spaces. You'll find me on Facebook. But one thing I want to say is there is an awesome site out there called scriptrevolution.com. It's run by a gentleman named CJ Wally out of England, and there's all kinds of scripts on there. He's got like 10 to 12,000 scripts from people on there. So if you wanted to see what's going on, what's interesting, what might interest you, you can actually set in there like a genre and how many pages you want to read and all that kind of stuff, and it'll actually find scripts. He looks after that site by himself, and I promote that anywhere I go because he's a really good guy. He's just through Shane Stanley, which is actually a guy he's working with right now down in LA. They produced their third movie in the last 2 years during COVID. And it's getting released on all the streaming services and that kind of thing. It's a site that's really interesting. I love it. You can find me there as well. You can read my stuff. Have fun
Awesome.
out there. Enjoy the film.
Yeah, thank you for that recommendation. You send me that link, or maybe I'll listen to this and I'll put it in the description of the video. So
Sure.
thank you. All right, Clint, I know you've been here many times, and we
Yeah.
feel like we hear your same thing every week, but maybe someone's going to watch just this one video.
Yeah, for sure. I tried looking to see if they had the Script Revolution app. They don't yet, but hopefully they do that soon. Awesome recommendation, Marvin. I'm gonna go hit on that after this. Anyways, my name is Clint. This is my third time doing this. Super fun. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better. I don't know what you guys think, but lots of fun. Anyways, you can find me on Instagram. It's Gems of Zen Productions. So gems, like gems, like gemstones of Zen, as in like meditation. And I just want to start building content that's going to empower people to follow their dreams and do what they want. It took me a lot of hard falling down to get to the point where I've been able to get to where I'm at now. And this is something that I've tried to fight. I've done pretty much almost any other job that you can think of, trying to avoid, I guess, what you would call my calling. And so I just want to get better and better and better and keep going. So I'm here to support anybody. All of you guys are included. If you guys want to follow me or just reach out and you have any questions, I'm happy to help in any way I can, man, because we're all heading to the same point. Hopefully it's not into this dude's mouth, but we are heading to the same point. We might as well enjoy it while we're here. Yeah. So my name again is Clint, and it's Gems of Zen Productions. So thank you so much again. That was so much fun.
Cool. Thank you. Heather Lee.
Hi. You can find me on Facebook under Heather Lee Cameron, Creative Artist. You can find me on YouTube, The Storm and Latter-day Saint. You can find me on Instagram at Heather Lee Cameron. My professional links are all there, and I'm more than happy to speak with you. And I've got a very extensive acting resume. I do have a reel that I just updated to include that play I did over Christmas that I talked about last time. I've got voice reels. I have been doing some voice work during the pandemic, a voice series called High School Vampire Chronicles, in which I play a leading role that was created by a man named Eric Reichenbach, who actually was on Survivor. So yeah, there's lots I can offer for anyone who's looking to hire people. And I work from home. I'm able to work from home as well as on set. I'm triple vaccinated. I'm a dual citizen of Canada and the United States, courtesy of my mother. She helped me arrange that 10 years ago in 2007. And I have a nice Blue Yeti Nano that I've got, so I'm able to work wherever.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you, Heather. And now Toni, Miss Flora.
Hi, thanks. Thanks so much for allowing me to fumble through your JAWS script tonight. Wow. Yeah, there is absolute value in reading something a couple of times over before getting on camera and reading it. So,
yeah, when this is unpaid and voluntary, and that would take many hours. No one expects that. And I don't think any of us felt like you stumbled. You know what I mean? Even with them trying to trick you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You're like, your turn. No, anyways, yeah, so I'm trying to get into voiceover acting, and unfortunately Audible allows you to edit like crazy. So I'm putting together some demos, putting them on Voices 123 and ACX and other places. So that's where you can find me under my name. Actually, it's a lot longer than Toni. It's Antoinette Flora. I'm using that as my screen name. And Yeah, but you can find me on Facebook and stuff to get a hold of me at ToniFlora and Gmail, ToniFlora@gmail.com. If anybody has anything that they want me to record.
Yes.
So that's it.
Also, just for any of the viewers here, Toni did an amazing job with Doc last week. Absolutely
Yep.
amazing. So you guys want to get some
Yeah.
examples of her voice acting. She's quite the animated person. And also you get to see the mystery of the flying sock, right?
Yeah, it's a little.
We all
hidden
know
right
about
now.
that one.
Craziest, best Doc Hooper I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
for
And so
sure.
that's Doc Brown
Thank
from
you.
Back to the Future.
Oh, excuse
you.
me.
All right, and Andy.
Okay. I don't have the resume of many of you do, but I've I actually followed Toni onto this group because I'm so impressed with her after she joined the little community theater that we have down here that I've been involved in forever since it got started. Right, Denise? Denise and I were both in Chance. We're all in the very first production we did a long time ago, and I'm working fairly hard on unwinding myself from being involved in absolutely every aspect of that. But I'll give you a little plug in a couple of places to look for it. On Facebook, it's the full name of the group, which is River Cities, plural, River Cities Community Theater Players. And also we have a website which is a little easier. It's just RCCTP, just the initials .org. And there's also a Facebook page for our subsidiary and brand new children's theater, which is Ghostlight Children's Theater Company. So you can check those out, see what we're doing out here in the desert, away from most civilization. So we have a lot of fun though, and our next adult production, which is called Mom's Gift, and I'm working backstage and off stage on that one. No, I'm not in the cast. So this was a brand new experience for me. Very, very enjoyable. It was a lot of fun to me. I love the Jaws movie, and I was able to reading the directions, the part that Toni was doing so gracefully. You could see many of those scenes if you're really familiar with the movie. You could see them and see, oh, yep, that's pretty much exactly how they shot that. It's very, 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 very interesting. So
And
I had a lot of fun, and I'll stay in touch. I doubt if I'll try to do this on every script, but if I see ones I really like, I'll probably put a vote in again.
That's what we hope for, like people to see what's coming, and if there's a role you want, even if it's far ahead, you can speak up for that, and we can try and cast things up ahead. But like you're saying, how things are shot, kind of how it's written. For anybody who made it this far in the video that's watching this later, comment. I want you to try and confirm these stories and comment. But one of the reasons that I think this movie is so good is because of the suspense, and you don't see the shark all the time. The shark right there, the mechanical shark they made, that it broke down a lot. And so they had to not do all the shots they wanted. They had to like do things and not show the shark. Another story I meant to double check and confirm, I think it's true before this, is that when John Williams came to Steven Spielberg with the music, just those two notes, Steven Spielberg thought he was joking at first. You know what I mean? You kidding me? Just two keys, two notes. But now that is like classic, and we all know that. And that's like for suspense and her. Like he's a genius. So if you can confirm or deny those in the comments, please do. Go visit all these people where they mentioned. Come back for future Table Read Tuesdays. If you want to be a part of it, go visit the group on Facebook, like the page. We're here on YouTube, Twitter, and we have a whole year planned, and we'll keep doing this every week. And we welcome any suggestions. And Again, thank you, everybody. It's been awesome.
Jacob, did you
thank you.
go through yours and how people can reach you?
Mine is just come back here. Just kidding.
Okay.
Table Read Tuesdays. I mean, if you want more, jacobpatrick.com. So thank you, everybody, and hope to talk to you and see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Loved working
Thank
with
you.
everyone.
All
Oh,
right.
you can't
Loved
see my
working
hand.
with
Okay,
all
there.
Give me the hand. I'll go like this.
I was waving and there's nothing there.
Yeah, for sure. Woo!
All
Loved
right.
working with
Thanks for
everyone.
working so
Loved
late.
entertaining everyone. Peace
Yes,
out.
awesome.
Mwah.
Good night.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
All right.